Trump just sent this letter to the Prime Minister of Norway. He's talking about Greenland, of course. He says, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of anti-ICE protesters interrupted a Christian church service yesterday in St. Paul, Minnesota. Do you know why, though? I don't think there could ever be a good reason why. It's because a pastor at this church is a man named David Easterwood, and David is also the acting ICE field office director for St. Paul, Minnesota. Well, that's not confirmed yet. Look at the picture. It's the same guy. Even if it is, this was the middle of a Sunday morning church service, and 40 protesters come storming in and stop the service, screaming random slogans and berating worshipers, questioning their faith, and ex-CNN host Don Lemon is there asking sleazy questions to the lead pastor, not David, but another guy who should be in the middle of his service. Look, I don't love church interruptions either, not when it happens by protesters or ICE. And must I remind you, on Trump's second day in office, his DHS rescinded a binary policy that protected certain areas from ICE enforcement, including schools and churches. And we have seen some cases of people arrested on church grounds. Except there's no examples during Trump's term of ICE going into churches, interrupting services to carry out arrests. While for the handful of arrests on church grounds, one, for example, is just the media blowing up over a traffic stop where the illegal alien just happened to pull into a church parking lot. So I'd look into those. You don't take away protected areas for no reason. And I just think the point these protesters were making was a profound one, because the Bible is all about protecting foreigners. Do not mistreat or oppress a foreigner. For you were foreigners in Egypt. It says to love them, give them food and clothing, and that they must be under the same law. In fact, Jesus says the final judgment will be based on one's deeds for the needy. He says, whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me. He taught to treat the poorest and most needy as if we were showing compassion to Christ himself, and that is the final judgment. Wow, I'm glad you're finally realizing Christian principles are pretty dang good, which is why Christian nations are the most just, diverse, and prosperous societies in the world. We live by Jesus' teachings, but God also commands justice and for us to follow the laws. In fact, Nehemiah went back to Jerusalem specifically to rebuild their walls. So there is an allowance of order in the Bible. And in America, we have this tension. We treat foreigners well, but we also have a duty to follow the law. And that's all ICE does, is enforce the immigration laws set by Congress. And in fact, America has the largest immigration population in the history of the world. It's just, we believe that this immigration should be done legally. And those who come in illegally, yes, will be treated with dignity, but the law must be enforced. Yeah, well, I think we can all look at these videos of mass men terrorizing communities ourselves and deem how Christ-like they are, plus Trump's demonization of immigrants, saying they're poisoning the blood of our country and calling them garbage and animals. How Christ-like is that? Doesn't give you the right to violate the law, and the DOJ is now investigating your church protesters for felonies, as they were likely in violation of the FACE Act, which is a 1994 law that bars physical obstruction of religious freedom at places of worship. Well, if your God is real, Judgment Day will come, and we will see who is right in the end. I can't wait for you to shut the hell up. You couldn't help yourself, huh? Sometimes it's hard to, bub.
And don't worry, guys, we will get more into that, but we are live. What? Yo, this is Set with Set Media, guys, and I'm back with another one for you. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and do a media analysis. We're going to go ahead and jump right into what NATO got to say about, Trump trying to take over Greenland. Let's get right into it. Let's not forget to double tap that screen, and let's go ahead and beat the algorithm, guys. Appreciate the support. Let's go.
Messages from European leaders concerned over his threat to annex Greenland. The message from French President Emmanuel Macron: I do not understand what you are doing on Greenland. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte tells Trump he is committed to finding a way forward on Greenland. In the meantime, Trump gets a face-to-face with the two leaders tomorrow in Davos for the World Economic Forum. He and his team expressing optimism and urging leaders to calm down in the face of his threats.
I don't think they're going to push back too much. Look, we have to have it. They have to have this done. They can't protect it.
We've always been able to work through our differences calmly.
Now, what Trump is pretty much saying is that, well, let's be honest. If our interest isn't protected in Greenland, then, well, the Chinese interest is going to be served. The Russian interest is going to be served. And right now, Greenland already have Chinese rare earth manufacturing going on, or rare earth mining going on in Greenland. So I'm be honest with you, China's influence is already in Greenland, and this is what Trump is trying to remove. Sadly, NATO is trying to protect it under the the disguise of, oh, we're looking out for the sovereignty of Greenland, but I mean, you're letting China take over all of their industry. So I mean, are you really?
Friends, we will continue to do that. I want to assure you this morning that that is still the case.
Calm down the hysteria, take a deep breath.
But Denmark has a strong warning for the president.
We will, of course, defend Greenland. If there is an invasion by American troops, it would be a war, and we would be fighting against each other. We know the Americans are stronger than us, and you have a much stronger military than ours. But it is our duty to defend our land and our people.
Joining me now in the group chat, Zach Wolf, CNN Politics senior writer, Chuck Rocha, Democratic
Well, at least he
strategist,
knows.
former senior advisor to the Bernie Sanders presidential campaigns, and Kristen Soltis Anderson, CNN political commentator and Republican strategist and pollster. So a couple developments this morning. I believe that Mike Johnson actually addressed the UK Parliament, vowing to calm tensions. I want to play this for you because he also went on Nigel Farage's show and was asked directly about the pursuit of Greenland and what Trump is doing. And Farage is, of course, known as being an ally of Trump. So here's what happened.
This is the biggest fracture in our relationship between our two countries since Suez in 1956. This is serious. And you're here about to speak before Parliament. I mean, is there nothing that can be done here?
Well, I'm here to encourage our friends and calm the situation. Look, I think we're going to get beyond this little rift. I don't think it's a threat to NATO or to this special relationship that we have in the long run.
Which kind of flies against these texts that have been released. What did you notice in the text?
Well, first of all, Mike Johnson, little rift, he sounds completely different than the president on
right.
this.
And so does Bessent.
Yeah, I mean, they are saying something completely different. In those text messages, I thought it was interesting. Why would Trump release these? They were showing the little rift that Mike Johnson was talking about. They also kind of showed, and maybe this is what he was trying to do, the sort of deference that the world leaders are showing him. Macron, let's do dinner on Thursday and talk this out, kind of a thing. So Trump is showing that they're still being nice to him and coming to him. But that was a head scratcher. Like,
yeah,
what is he at?
Well, it shows them, I think, Macron, who actually has spoken quite strongly, saying like, hey, maybe Europe should use its own economic nuclear option to kind of go after the U.S. What do you guys see in how this is playing out now that they've actually landed in Europe and actually have to have these conversations face to face, Kristen?
I mean, to me, it is baffling on a number of levels. It's deeply unpopular. It's even not that popular with Trump's own base, the idea of engaging in military activity in Greenland.
Well, actually, I don't see. It's kind of funny when people on CNN try to talk about Trump's base. Honestly, we're actually in full support of it, and I'm surprised about it, honestly. A lot of people, we're the whole anti-interventionist, but the problem with Greenland is that, well, we need it. We need it for rare earth minerals. We need it for Arctic security or, well, Arctic military positioning. And that's something that, well, Russia got dominance on, and we don't want them to have dominance on it. This was one of Trump's point on it when he says, well, if Russia wanted to take it, NATO can't stop them, but America can't. If China wanted to take in Greenland, NATO couldn't stop them, but America can. Actually, China already took Greenland because they already got heavy business in Greenland. This is what Trump is trying to do, remove China and Russian influence out of America, well, out of our side of the hemisphere, which is the Western hemisphere. And a lot of people do not like America working in its own interests for some strange reason.
But what it really is, I think, is Donald Trump, his real estate guy, I want to acquire territory and assets, is coming out in full force. I think he thinks that these like tough mafia style tactics are how you negotiate a better deal. But I'm really glad to see that at least right now, I mean, this in some ways feels a little reminiscent of Trump's first term when he would say and do things and there were like a number of adults in the room that would be like, let's maybe not do that. We actually haven't seen as much of that this term.
The adults or
well, the attempt from within his own party, his own cabinet to try to constrain or contain him. And that's what this feels like. They are realizing this one is way too far.
And the American electorate coming up.
See, that's the thing is like the Dems are kind of misreading what's going on in MAGA. What's going on in MAGA is that we understand that one, we are in a rare earth mineral war with China. We need to procure as much as possible for the United States. This is one of the reasons why we went after the natural resources of Venezuela and their oil reserve. A lot of these countries are turning away from America's dollar and actually turning towards China. And I mean, to be honest with you, there are European countries that are guilty of this as well. So it does make sense why they would all of a sudden want to defend Greenland, which is basically defending Chinese interest. They've chosen. I mean, not only are they defending Chinese interests, but we got one of the founding members of NATO, Canada, signing a trade deal with who? China. And who do they also do militaries with, drills with? China. So it is kind of funny how our so-called allies are working with our adversaries.
Less than a year from the midterms, are kind of where Macron is. They kind of would understand Venezuela. Dictator seems bad. Taking rid of a dictator seems okay, maybe. Iran seems
Well, guys,
bad.
let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video. And if you're on the horizontal, just like the video, guys. Appreciate the support, man. Let's go ahead and beat the shadow block by showing that we got engagement.
Seems Iran has done bad things before, but Greenland?
Yeah,
That's
I
where the
was
American
looking-
public is.
The CNN polling was showing that independents, something like 82% oppose the Greenland conversation.
And we're not talking about gas and groceries and regular things as we move towards the summer.
I want to play one more thing for you. Don Bacon, who's been on a roll since, he's in a YOLO situation. He was saying that he is, of course, very against this. Here's how far.
Okay, let's make sure we support the stream so we can keep it going, or, shoot. Hey, man, the way things are going, we might have to cut things short. But it is what it is.
One way or the other way, whether it's even Republican control or if it's Democrat control after November, I think it would lead to impeachment. I think it's invading ally, to me, is a high crime and misdemeanor. And we have a treaty. We have the NATO agreement it would be.
Yeah, but here's a problem, though. Invading an ally, or I would say procuring an ally I would say for American interests, like I said, we need their rare earth minerals. They are in a very good position in the Arctic. Military wise, yeah, we do need it. National security wise, we do need it. And of course, to make sure that we can make our nice jets, we do need that. Because a whole lot of countries are putting orders, and I'm thinking the way Trump is acting, that we might be actually short on a couple of these rare earth minerals to make these jets. So this is one of the reasons why he's saying Greenland is, well, the end all be all. Is like he's not taking no for an answer. It's like you either get down or lay down. And this is what he's saying. It's like, but he's always saying he's willing to buy it, and instead of taking it. So we'll see where, Europe goes with that, or better to say where NATO wants to go with that.
Basically severing this whole agreement. And invading an ally, a democracy, it's immoral, it's wrong.
I guess he's just saying it on the way out.
I just want to say something quick before folks give commentary on this so everybody at home understands who Don Bacon is. There's only 3 congressional races in America that a Republican currently occupies that Kamala Harris won, and this guy's in one of them, and he's retiring.
Joining us now live from Paris is CNN senior international correspondent Melissa Bell. Melissa, give us a sense of what the dialogue appears to be between Trump and Macron. It seems that that relationship is souring.
That's right. First of all, the idea of that meeting tomorrow in Davos, Rahel, of the American president with a number of those European leaders involved in the defense of Greenland promises to be pretty frosty. Wouldn't you love to be in a corner of that room to hear the tone? Because in the meantime, there is no suggestion that either side is backing down of the question of the future of Greenland, nor of the question of tariffs and retaliatory tariffs on the part of the Europeans. Instead, what you've had is this war of words this morning between the French and American presidents. Long gone are the days of the bromance. It seems it isn't simply on the question of Greenland and the tariffs and the countermeasures being prepared by Europe, but on the question of the Council for Peace, that you'll remember President Trump sent invitations out to 60 or so world leaders over the course of the weekend to try and oversee the reconstruction of Gaza, but in a sort of enlarged format, that it would see it sort of rival the UN in terms of its ability to try and ensure peace in different parts of the world. We understand that the French president, amongst others, have declined the invitation to join this Board of Peace. An invitation, by the way, also extended to the Russian president. In response to that, you heard the American president threaten the French with 200% tariffs on their wines and champagne. So
yeah, because, well, I believe they threatened to actually bring in more troops, which they did already. So we're going to go ahead and skip to that video right here. More Danish troops arrive in Greenland and Trump annex threat. Well, let's be honest. There's really nothing these guys can do, and they're just posturing for the world. They're trying to show solidarity with Greenland, just like they showed the fake ass solidarity with Ukraine. All this fear mongering about Russia. But I mean, are y'all really ready to go to war with Russia? Did y'all really back Ukraine up when it came to Russia? Not really. And they're only really doing it through weapons and very few troops. I'll be honest with you. So when they sit here and tell us that, oh yeah, America, we can go ahead and stop you from taking Greenland, we're kind of laughing because one, we are NATO forces, by the way. Like, we are their military power. Without us, they have very little military power. And then aren't they supposed to be sending weapons to Ukraine to fight off Russia? So doesn't that mean we have to deter some of that to go ahead and take on us? And wouldn't that just strain you guys out? And then I'm be real with you. If NATO did get into it with us, we're going to go ahead and take on Europe if that's the case. And I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of European countries don't want to say it, but they are not prepared for war by themselves, or if America pulls out of NATO. A lot of them I would see backing down, but we'll see as time progresses.
The Danish military just posting these images that we're showing you of troops arriving in Greenland. Looks like already in darkness tonight. And it comes as our Jim Sciutto is now reporting that President Trump said on a call with the British Prime Minister that he may have been given, quote, bad information on why European troops were sent to Greenland. Now, Jim's reporting is according to a senior British official. The deployments of troops, though, we just showed you those latest images, but they also come from Germany, Sweden, France, Norway, the Netherlands, and Finland, a massive NATO statement, all on the heels of Trump's threats to, quote, have Greenland one way or the other. Trump threatening those countries militarily. They're, of course, all America's strongest allies, and also specifically threatening the military with hefty tariffs for their military show of force against his.
Oh, guys, let's make sure we double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's go ahead and beat the shadow ban by showing we got engagement and liking the video, guys. Appreciate the support.
Taking over Greenland. So if Trump was confused as to their motive or what they were saying, he certainly didn't wait to clarify the confusion. He immediately, had said he was going to impose 10% tariffs on those NATO allies, ramping it up to 25%. Now, based on what may be bad information, or is it a convenient excuse for an off-ramp to a situation that is troubling, terrifying, and spiraling, escalating? Because the text messages between the President of the United States and the Norwegian Prime Minister are unlike anything we've ever seen, frankly, from a president of the United States in any capacity, never mind between him and an ally. The Prime Minister of Norway, Jonas Gahr Støre, texting Trump yesterday afternoon, "Dear Mr. President, dear Donald, on the contact across the Atlantic on Greenland, Gaza, Ukraine, and your tariff announcement yesterday, you know our position on these issues, but we believe we should all work to take this down and de-escalate. So much is happening around us where we need to stand together. We are proposing a call with you later today, with both of us or separately. Give us a hint of what you prefer."
I mean, to be quite honest, they're kind of playing games. They're trying to compromise with Trump when Trump is not compromising. He's made it very clear. If these two don't walk in the room talking about, all right, look, we're going to give you Greenland, and Trump is just going to walk out that room. I mean, he's already made it clear that he wants Greenland. I mean, look, if you guys really want Trump on y'all side, y'all back y'all troops out of Greenland, and there you go. He'll be your best friend again. But if you're not willing to do that, then I don't see negotiations going too well.
Personal, a text, obviously an attempt at de-escalation, a handshaking, trying to move past this. We should all work together. Give us a hint of what you prefer best. Well, a little less than an hour later, Trump responded. And as unfortunately the whole world is now well aware, it was not in kind. Writes, "Dear Jonas, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace." He continues to say, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. Denmark cannot protect that land from Russia or China. And why do they have a right of ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only that a boat landed there hundreds of years ago. But we had boats landing there also. I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding. And now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. Thank you, President DJT. And as you could see there, all of the random capitalizations are as he wrote it. We are now learning that that message was then forwarded by the President's National Security Council. So people went and did this for him to multiple European ambassadors so they could understand this. Official screed from the President of the United States. Now, officials telling CNN that European diplomats are comparing Trump to Putin. And as for Putin, perhaps he never even dreamed of such an incredible moment. Just look at how Russia's state television is reacting to Trump pushing the NATO alliance to the brink over Greenland. This was uncovered by journalist Julia Davis.
Americans are delivering a catastrophic blow to NATO, because one country that is a member of NATO is taking away the territory that rightfully belongs to a country that is also a member of NATO.
I love how they put the spin on that, but no, hold on now. Russia, don't try to sit there and co-sign this with us. Like, we're doing this for a little bit of a different reason. But it is funny how they're spinning it, though. I do love it. They're pretty much saying, so what's wrong with a NATO country taking another NATO country? Yeah, I mean, there is something wrong with that. Let's be real. It sounds effed up on paper. But, I mean, if we pull out of NATO, then we just be taking a NATO country. And it is what it is. If NATO can't protect another NATO country, then, hey, man, I guess NATO wasn't all it was cracked up to be. And then, I mean, let's be real. NATO was made to defend against Russia, right? Or, well, the Soviet Union. So, of course, Russia would come out and be like, oh, my God, please, thank you. Somebody's on these guys' heels. Oh, they might be dismantled by going against their biggest military supporter. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. I mean, trust me, the Kremlin out there popping bottles and, well, really popping vodka and drinking champagne at this point. Like, y'all doing them a favor. NATO.
I think this benefits us.
Well, I mean, that, I guess he's stating a fact. Yet Trump does seem intent on getting...
I'll be real about that. It does. If we get NATO out the way, I mean, that's one less entity getting in the way of Ukraine for them. And we have already stated that we don't even want to get involved in Ukraine. So we're ready. We were already getting down with the idea of having Ukraine concede land to Russia. So it is what it is.
Greenland. He is now tying that to not winning the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, the entire beginning of that text, right, was because I didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize. And that prize, as bizarre as this is now something we have to keep talking about because Trump has been obsessed with it. In fact, if you go all the way back to when former President Obama won it back in 2009, we can find this trail.
This guy got the Nobel Peace Prize, and every time I look, he's going into another country. He got the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, think of it. He got the Nobel Peace Prize. But Norman got the Nobel Peace Prize. He said, I have nominated you.
Hey, shout out to Whiskey Bones Jones. Appreciate the support, my brother. He says, W Stream, Greenland, nah, Snow Mar-a-Lago. I mean, hey, bro, there would be nothing wrong with that. I mean, I always did say, what is wrong with Greenland being a part of the United States? I mean, we got another place to build snow resorts at. I'm not too much of a fan of the code, but hey, I know some of you guys in the chat are. And wouldn't you want to go ice, like do a nice little snow resort, a huge Americanized one in Greenland? Of course, next to the rare earth okay, not next to the rare earth refinery, but you guys get my point. This is all for American self-interest. Of course, military self-interest. Of course, rare earth mineral resource self-interest. And I'm be honest with you, I mean, it kind of goes along with what Trump's doctrine is saying, that we want Western Hemisphere dominance. And, well, guess where Greenland's at? Surprise, surprise, if you didn't know, it's in the Western Hemisphere, a.k.a. Trump is stamping it as ours. Honestly, Trump got a list, and it's going to be scary watching him go down in these 4 years. I mean, Venezuela, Greenland, Cuba, Mexico. You might say all of South America might be waving the American flag. Hey, and think about it like this, Dems. If we honestly start going out and just making Mexico and Latin America, literally all of Latin America, American states, I mean, we can stop immigration now. Think about it like that. We can stop immigration. They're basically American citizens now, and y'all have nothing to cry about. Really, we just take them criminals to jail at this point. Don't even got to deport them no more. Just take them to jail.
Or, respectfully, on behalf of Japan, I am asking them to give you the Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, yeah. Shout out Whiskey Bones for starting us off, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate you.
I said thank you. I'm going to tell you about the Nobel Peace Prize.
All right, Jim Sciutto begins our coverage out front because, Jim, I know you have some brand new reporting here. What are you learning from your sources?
I'm told by a senior UK official that during their phone call on Sunday between Trump and the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, that President Trump conceded to Starmer that he may have been given bad information about that increased deployment of European troops to Greenland. What could that bad information be? Well, the intention of that deployment is to explore security needs for Greenland and perhaps to boost security for Greenland, in part to meet President Trump's demands. Did Trump interpret that deployment as instead a European defense against any U.S. involvement in Greenland? It's hard to know exactly what he misinterpreted there. I will say this, UK officials say that our Danish counterparts briefed the U.S. prior to that European deployment, and not only briefed them, because I'm told by a senior Danish official that those deployments were coordinated between Europe and...
Oh, yeah. Also, shout out Greenby, because this is also a really good point. Trade routes north of Canada. Think about it. That is true. We have a lot of trade routes going north through Canada. And, you know, like I said, Canada also got some rare earth minerals as well. Like, I mean, here's the thing. If we take Canada, if we take in Greenland, we're taking Canada as well, because Canada has already vowed to protect Greenland. It's just like, okay, well, we didn't thank you for telling us that we basically have to make Canada the 51st or 53rd, 52nd, third state. Don't really matter at this point. Seems like we're about to start adding 3 or 4 stars to the American flag. So if Canada want to get in the way at the risk of its sovereignty, go ahead, because we could also take those as well. Like I said, I'm not really all down with the whole world domination or Western Hemisphere dominance, but if this is what we're doing, then it is what it is, and there are actually benefits to this than inside of getting involved with things all the way on the other side of the hemisphere that don't really bring us too much benefits, but, well, no benefits at all. It just makes a whole bunch of people hate us.
The U.S. through their existing military channels. That said, the U.K. is seeing that small concession from President Trump to Starmer as at least a potential path to de-escalation. They're looking for hope here, Aaron. But one thing that has not changed, I'm told, by UK officials, Danish officials, and others, is that President Trump has indicated no desire or willingness to move off his demand that the U.S. take Greenland somehow, some way, and that remains a red line for European leaders.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if that's what he's saying and that's what they're saying, then where we are, still bumping up against a wall. All right, Jim, thank you very much with all that new reporting. And Jim has more reporting coming up at 9 p.m. on The Source. Don't miss that with Jim. And a lot to get to with our experts here. Okay, Seth Jones, let me just start with you, because I know you've had a lot of conversations with European officials here in these past hours. What are they feeling about this?
Hopeless.
Aaron, they're feeling exasperated. I had one senior official who advises a head of state in Europe say that they just cannot understand that the biggest threat from NATO is not coming now from the Russians, although that is serious, but now from the Americans within NATO. That NATO, which has a 1951 pact in place to allow the United States to put space-based assets in, air defense assets in to protect the U.S. homeland, really the ability to protect U.S. national security assets, U.S. can do that with what is in place right now. So just exasperated that there is such a threat to the alliance right now from the U.S. for what most people do not fully understand.
All right, see, he's tackling the whole military argument. Well, he says he needed as a strategic base military-wise, and, that doesn't make sense because they got a base over there already, and and yeah, I get it. But that's not the reason why we really want Greenland. I'm be honest with you, it's for their resources as well. It does have a good amount to do with the positioning in the Arctic, but it is also about their resources and removing Chinese influence out of Greenland. That's what nobody want to talk about. Nobody want to talk about the fact that China has heavy influence in Greenland. And because, I'm be real with you, it's going to look really kind of weird why NATO would sit there and protect Greenland so hard when they know themselves that China has heavy influence in Greenland, because why? A lot of European and, well, really a lot of NATO countries have been getting close with China. So it makes sense. They're honestly protecting Chinese interests, and they ain't even in NATO.
And the rationale, the strategic rationale.
Oh, yeah, make sure y'all double tap that screen, like the video, guys. Let's go ahead and get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen, and make sure to subscribe to the channel.
For the president doing this.
Yeah, it's hard to find anyone who does when you lay it out like that. I mean, Dan, you're in Davos right now. Investors, CEOs, world leaders are there. Look, they're hearing Trump say, okay, we're going to put tariffs on our closest allies of 10%. We're going to ramp them up to 25%. And basically, unless the United States takes over Greenland. I mean, are people genuinely worried about this now?
Look, I could tell you, Aaron, I mean, it's definitely caused some white knuckles here at Davos because the worry in terms of the markets, okay, is this another, now we start going down the tariff route, you know, is the bark going to be worse than the bite, which I ultimately believe it will be. But at a time that we're talking about U.S. ahead of China for the first time in 30 years when it comes to AI revolution and tech, this has been the conversation. I could tell you in the pavilions, at all the events that I've seen today, going into what's going to be this sort of, you know, an old Western standoff that we're going to see, you know, when Trump comes here.
All right, now let's go ahead and get over to what Al Jazeera is saying, because how can Europe respond to Trump's Greenland tariff threat? Well, let's see. I mean, let's see what weapons they got at their disposal or cards.
7 EU countries and
Weapons may be a
the
bit of
UK
a
for
strong
opposing
word.
his plan. US President Donald Trump threatens tariffs against 7 EU countries and the UK for opposing his plans to take control of Greenland. EU leaders are considering how to respond. What are their options and what are the dangers for both sides? This is Inside Story. Hello, welcome to the program. I'm Marlene Saeed. Now, it's never easy to predict what US President Donald Trump will do next. But when a handful of European countries sent a small number of troops to Greenland last week, they were unlikely to expect such a furious response. New additional tariffs against the 6 EU nations involved and the United Kingdom, which sent 1 soldier just months after they'd agreed deals on trade levies. Now, central to the dispute is Trump's demand that the US takes over Greenland, a claim that is rejected by EU nations and the United Kingdom. But sending just a few soldiers to the Danish territory brings the risk of a trade war closer. EU leaders meet later this week to decide how to respond. So what kind of measures can Europe take, and will they have any impact on Trump?
Well, I'll give you one. They didn't fully, take the EU trade deal through their parliaments yet, so they could stop that. They could hold up the trade deal that we signed with them by pretty much stopping it through their parliament, and there's other options as well, which, well, we're about to get into.
The risks of a full-blown trade war. And if this dispute worsens, what might it mean for the global economy? We'll discuss all this with our guest shortly, but first, this report from Alexandra Byers.
U.S. President Donald Trump is intensifying his push to take control of Greenland, refusing to rule out military action, while also threatening a trade war with Europe.
We have to have it. They have to have this done. They can't protect it. Denmark, they're wonderful people. And I know the leaders are very good people, but they don't even go there.
Trump has pledged a series of tariffs on Denmark, the UK, and 6 other.
He said, I mean, look, they're good people, but I mean, one, they don't even go there. They don't use it for its full utilization. Actually, no, wait, hold on. They do use it. They use it by selling it off to China. Yeah. So they sold Greenland out to China, and we want to get out that Chinese influence. So this is why Greenland is, well, kicking and screaming, because, well, they make money off pretty much selling Greenland to China. And this is what Denmark did. So it is kind of funny how Denmark is getting upset, because I'm like, well, you kind of sold them to the communists, bro. You sold them to the communists, and you're looking at us. What you're looking at us like we're the evildoers here? I mean, you sold them out to China. Like, bro, did they barely even profit off of this? You sold their industries to China, Denmark.
European allies who oppose his goal of acquiring the self-governing island. He insists the U.S. needs it for national security reasons. But the Danish prime minister says Europe will not be blackmailed. EU leaders are holding an emergency.
Yes, and guys, let's make sure we double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's go ahead and beat the shadow ban by double tapping that screen. Appreciate the support, guys.
Emergency summit on Thursday, deliberating whether to hit back with their own measures. One option is a package of tariffs on $108 billion of U.S. imports that could come into effect on February the 6th. But there's also the so-called trade bazooka, the anti-coercion instrument, the most powerful tool the EU has. It's never been used before, and it could freeze American businesses out of the single market, the world's biggest trader of goods and services.
So, yep, could free U.S. business out of the EU market, aka your Facebook, social media, all that good stuff, gone. YouTube, yeah, American product, gone. I mean, and here's the thing, I don't think they're willing to risk that. I mean, all the marketing that gets done on this for their businesses, they'd be shooting themselves in the foot. So I wish they would. But I mean, they could try, but like we got to think about all American businesses and how they would be screwed without us. I mean, okay, you could try, but yeah, a lot of y'all companies, y'all need American sales. Y'all need us to sell in, and you need to sell to us. Are y'all sure y'all want to endanger yourselves like that? When these European countries are already failing economically and they're already in a tough position across the board, all of them are, especially the UK.
We consider the people of the United States not just our allies, but our friends. And plunging us into a downward spiral would only aid the very adversaries we are both so committed to keeping out of the strategic landscape. So our response will be unflinching, united, and proportional.
But getting the bloc to agree on extreme measures will be difficult. Germany says Europe must stand its ground, but a trade war is not the way forward. The UK, which is not an EU member, is calling for calm discussion.
The use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong. It is not the right way to resolve differences within an alliance. Nor is it helpful to frame efforts to strengthen Greenland's security as a justification for economic pressure.
For its part, the US doesn't seem concerned.
Nope.
You do not believe that the EU or the UK have any retaliatory financial instruments or measures in their bag?
I mean, no, they don't. They're posturing. That's the problem. I mean, if they did anything to try to hurt our finances, they have to hurt their own in the process. Like they just said, the bazooka option, just taking out or removing American companies from their market. I'm just telling you that, yeah, well, you know, all of this digital marketing that you guys do and, you know, these European companies are on American platforms. Did you forget that part? So that's one way y'all shoot yourselves in the foot already. I mean, there's other ways as well, but I mean, we don't have time to get into all of them.
The United States should be worried about.
No.
Besant and President Trump are attending the World Economic Forum in Davos this week. European leaders are also there and pushing for further talks on Greenland, with hopes that surrounded by Switzerland's famed neutrality, there's a chance for de-escalation. Alexandra Byers, Al Jazeera for Inside Story.
Let's bring in our guest, Rebecca Christie.
And all right, now that's enough from Al Jazeera. Let's go ahead and see what our two economic advisors got to say, or two economic specialists on the Trump administration, which is Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick. Let's go ahead and start off with Scott Bessent on Meet the Press.
Now is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Secretary Bessent, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good morning, Kristen. Good to be with you.
It's great to have you here. Thank you for being here in person. Let's start right there. President Trump threatening to impose steep tariffs against some of America's closest European and NATO allies. The leaders of Denmark and Greenland say bluntly, Greenland is not for sale. What makes President Trump think it is?
Kristen, if we look for years, for over a century, American presidents have wanted to acquire Greenland. And what we can see is that Greenland is essential to the U.S. national security. We're building the Golden Dome, the missile system. And look, President Trump is being strategic. He's looking beyond this year. He's looking beyond next year to what could happen for a battle in the Arctic. We are not going to outsource our national security. We are not going to outsource our hemispheric security to other countries. In Trump 1.0, President Trump told the Europeans, do not build Nord Stream 2. Do not rely on Russian oil. And guess what, Kristen? Guess what is funding Russia's efforts against Ukraine? European purchases of Russian oil.
Facts.
So America has to be in control here.
Hey, I like the way he put that. He's like, bro, we can no longer depend on you guys to, well, protect our interests. Even though we're allies, obviously you guys work in your own interests, especially Denmark. Look at Denmark. They worked in their own interest by selling off Greenland to the Chinese. And I mean, we don't want Chinese in our hemisphere, aka Denmark worked against its own allies' interest. But we're the bad guys here. Like, okay.
I want to delve into everything that you said, but I just want to ask you big picture. Is this a negotiating tactic, Mr. Secretary, or is President Trump serious about annexing Greenland?
President Trump strongly believes that we cannot outsource our security because, Kristen, let me tell you what will happen. And it might not be next year, might not be in 5 years, but down the road, this fight for the Arctic is real. We would keep our NATO our NATO guarantees. And if there were an attack on Greenland from Russia, from some other area, we would get dragged in. So better now, peace through strength, make it part of the United States, and there will not be
And right now, Russia, they have they have Arctic supremacy right now. And it would be really easy for them to take Greenland. And we know for a fact that NATO can't do nothing about it. Greenland, of course, can't do nothing about it. Denmark can't do anything about it. So we might as well take it for ourselves and it be under the superpower that, though, I'm be honest with you, if they had a choice, they'd pick us. I mean, Greenland, who would you rather be under? United States, Russia, or China? Obviously, the United States. At least you get freedom of speech with us. So I'm sorry, but it's an ABC answer. And I mean, A is the best answer, which is the United States.
Conflict because the United States right now, we are the hottest country in the world. We are the strongest country in the world. Europeans project weakness. The U.S. projects strength.
But just very quickly, is this a negotiating tactic, Mr. Secretary? Is the goal to get a deal to have enhanced security in Greenland, for example?
The president believes that enhanced security is not possible without Greenland being part of the U.S.
Okay, let me press you on what you have said are national security concerns, particularly as it relates to Russia and China. Senior Democrats say there are no pressing threats on Greenland security from Russia or China. The Danish foreign minister says there hasn't been a Chinese warship in Greenland for a decade. What evidence do you have that this is a pressing threat?
Well, first of all, Kristen, we have asymmetric information. And again, President Trump is being strategic here. What evidence was there that the Russians were going into Crimea? What evidence was it? Well, actually, there was a lot of evidence that the Russians were going to go into Ukraine. And Joe Biden said, well, just take a little bit of it. But what we know is that the U.S., that Greenland can only be defended if it is part of the U.S. and it will not need to be defended if it is part of the U.S. The president is trying to.
I mean, let's be real. The way a country can be the most protected is being part of the U.S. I mean, screw in Article 5. I mean, if you're literally part of the U.S., one of our states, then if you touch it, you're screwed. If another country touch it, you're gonna get the full force of the American army on you. So, yeah, Greenland has way more protection being part of America than it does being a territory of Denmark. I mean, honestly, you could say that about any country. I mean, any NATO country would be better off, a state of the United States, be better protected as a state of the United States than a member of NATO.
Avoid a conflict.
You bring up Crimea. The president, as far as I have heard, has not taken military force off the table. If the United States were to take Greenland by force, how would that be different than Russia's annexation of Crimea?
Look, I believe that the Europeans will understand that this is best for Greenland, best for Europe, and best for the United States.
So, but military action is still on the table?
I haven't spoken with the president on that. And again, I believe that the Europeans will understand that the best outcome is for the U.S. to maintain or receive control of Greenland.
Well, so far, what we've heard and seen from the Europeans is alarm and outrage. In fact, they're, as you know, holding an emergency meeting today. And part of the issues, the president has already reached a trade deal with the EU. How can countries have confidence in trade deals moving forward if President Trump is prepared to blow them up?
Well,
come on now. First off, Greenland ain't got nothing to do with the trade deals with the EU, to be quite honest with you. They really don't. Like, to be honest, when we talk about doing country with the EU, Greenland is actually separated out of those deals. So we really don't know I don't even know why she's bringing that up. And it's not like we're attacking European countries. Like, let's be real. And the grounds is that it's on our side of the hemisphere, the Western Hemisphere. So, I mean, look, if you're not on this side of the hemisphere, you ain't got nothing to worry about. So I'm not even sure why NATO wants to get involved so much. But hey, here they are. Well, they're there right now.
First of all, the trade deal hasn't been finalized, and an emergency action can be very different from another trade deal. We're in a very good equilibrium right now with China, but if China did something to upset that balance, I think the president would be willing to act. Same thing with India. We were working on a trade deal with India, but the president, unlike the Europeans, started charging the Europeans 25% for buying Russian oil. So the president leverages his emergency powers to do this.
I hear you saying that the deal hasn't been finalized, and yet it was moving toward finalization. Doesn't it undercut the United States' word by threatening these steep new tariffs?
I think it does not. What it does is it enhances United States security. And again, we have seen the Europeans are unable to push back against Russia. The U.S. is this war that never would have started in Ukraine, Kristen. We are going to settle it, but it wouldn't have started. And what President Trump is trying to do is prevent a taking or the Russian-Chinese action in Greenland in the future. So why not be strategic? Why always live in the moment?
I mean, F it. I mean, like I said, China already got like a whole lot of economic pull there. They got mining. They got rare earth refinery there already. So to be honest, when it comes to stopping China and Russia to get into there, it's already too late. I mean, this is one of the reasons why it's so urgent to us now, because we already know they're there and we don't need it to be worse than it already is.
Let's talk about being strategic. The United States has a base in Greenland. I've been talking to lawmakers on Capitol Hill. Denmark has given the United States a green light to beef up its security as much as is needed in Greenland. Why not take that route? Why is it necessary to take over an annex?
Because, I mean, look, military bases is cute and all. Like I said, I mean, it does have something to do with the military positioning, but military positioning doesn't mean we control your resources. So let's just get that out the way right there. Remember, it's all about the molybdenum. It's this nice little rare earth mineral that create high temperature metals. And I've been repeating this for like 4 days now. But yeah, we need that for our jets. And there's other rare earth minerals that we need for manufacturing as well, to wean ourselves off of China's rare earth minerals. And I mean, we can also start rare earth mineral refinery in Greenland instead of, causing environmental damage to the rare earth refinery we're going to be doing here. Well, further environmental damage. It's best we just spread it amongst our so-called colonies, I guess. Maybe colonies isn't a good word. It's going to have the libs freaking out. Yeah, our territory or, new states.
All of Greenland, something that 85% of people living in Greenland oppose.
Well, again, and let's look back. Denmark has a terrible history with Greenlanders. There was forced sterilizations up until the 80s or the 90s. So all of a sudden, now that the U.S. has expressed an interest, there is this new interest. And again, the United States needs to be in control to prevent a war, and that we do not want to get dragged into someone else's war.
Well, but this is about the United States' relationship with its allies, NATO allies, again, reacting with alarm. They're warning that this move to annex Greenland could, in fact, destroy NATO. So let me just put this to you bluntly. Is Greenland or NATO more essential to the United States' national security?
Well, Chris, that's obviously a false choice. That's That's a
Not from the
maximum.
perspective of European leaders.
The European leaders will come around and they will understand that they need to be under the U.S. security umbrella. What would happen in Ukraine that if the U.S. pulled its support out? The whole thing would collapse.
Literally.
The U.S., Kristen, to be clear, since 1980, the U.S.
I mean, that's why I said what bazooka option, because I mean, all right, cool. Well, we're not gonna allow you to buy weapons from us no more. I mean, I'm not sure what weapons your guys are gonna sell to Ukraine. I mean, what you're gonna do? Buy Russian weapons to sell to Ukraine? Buy Chinese weapons, those malfunctioning weapons to sell to Ukraine? Really? Okay, then. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Maybe NATO needs to sit down and behave a little bit, because they do not have the cars to pull this off on us. Like I said, they could sit there and try to shoot themselves in the foot by banning American companies out of their market. But I mean, also, but when we go ahead and pull that plug on, we take ourselves out of NATO and we could just pile drive right into Greenland, or we can just always sit there and just, well, what was the first option? I said, that's actually not as bad. What did I say? We can pull from there. What was it? It'll come back to me.
has spent U.S. military spending versus NATO military spending. We have spent.
Yes. Like I said, we could pull back selling them weapons, and then they can just sell what? Nothing, or they can exhaust their own stockpile to fund Ukraine, which will run out eventually. And I mean, if Putin sees that, then all he knows he got to do is prolong, and eventually Ukraine will have no weapons. So, I mean, do y'all really want to go against y'all best benefactor? Really?
$22 trillion more dollars than the Europeans have. That we are peace through strength. And the Europeans now are only trying to play catch up. And that is only through President Trump. President Trump believes in NATO, but he does not believe in the American people being dragged in.
Well, in terms of the cost that has been paid, Denmark has stood shoulder to shoulder with the United States, including after 9/11. In fact, it lost more soldiers per capita in Afghanistan than any other NATO nation. Apart from the United States itself, Mr. Secretary, does President Trump want the United States to remain a part of NATO?
That's up to them.
We're going to remain a part of NATO, but what President Trump does not want is for a war to start and the U.S. get dragged in. Again, we are not going to outsource our Western Hemispheric security to others.
Let me ask you, broadly speaking, about the tariff portion of this. The president, as you well know, has justified his authority to impose previous tariffs without going to Congress by declaring national emergencies. It's an issue before the Supreme Court right now. We're all awaiting the High Court's decision. What is the national emergency that justifies these new slate of tariffs?
The national emergency is avoiding a national emergency. That it is a strategic decision by the president. This is a geopolitical decision, and he is able to use the economic might of the U.S. to avoid a hot war. So why wouldn't we do that? You know, same thing. That what if we had a national emergency coming with these gigantic trade balances that we had with the rest of the world? I've been in financial.
Oh, guys, let's try to get us to $25 in support. We can go ahead and keep the stream going. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's keep it going, because right now we're at $7.
Markets for 30 to 45 years. Much better to be strategic.
Let's try to end that hour off on a good note.
You're saying it's a national emergency, but you're also saying it's a threat that's years away. How can both be true, Mr. Secretary?
Because you are avoiding creating the emergency, Kristen. What if during the great financial crisis, someone had raised their hand in 2005, 2006 and said, stop with subprime mortgages? But no one did. President Trump is raising his hand, and that is preventing the emergency.
Do you think the Supreme Court will agree with that rationale, Mr. Secretary?
I believe that it is very unlikely that the Supreme Court will overrule a president's signature economic policy.
I mean, bro, to be quite honest, it's looking like the Supreme Court actually might go with Trump off of fear that he could do worse. You understand that? Now, the Supreme Court is pretty much saying, and I mean, it's going to be crazy when I say this, but they're pretty much saying that, or the arguments, okay, so the arguments from the Supreme Court, or those people who want to take away Trump's tariffing power, is, well, the president can impose 100% embargo, which is basically completely decoupling from a nation, but he can impose a 1% tariff. So if they take away Trump's tariffing ability, then what do you think he's going to start doing? 100% embargoes, which is way worse than a tariff. I mean, these guys are shaking their boots over a 15% tariff. 15%. Can you imagine 100% embargo, what they would be doing? So, yeah, I think actually the Supreme Court is going to let Trump have his tariffing power, since they're saying it's like, well, we're basically saying that you got to use a metal rod instead of a wooden stick. It's kind of crazy that they even have the argument, or that they were even trying to go against it, but here we are.
Overrule Obamacare. I believe that the Supreme Court does not want to create chaos. We have set, as you said earlier, we have set these trade deals, and it is very good for the United States. We are balancing our trade deficit. You look, Europe is being overrun with Chinese goods. There is now an emergency in Europe. There's going to be an economic emergency. The Europeans will follow us. So President Trump is preempting this. If we go back to emergencies, he put a fentanyl tariff, Mexico, Canada, China. Guess what's happened to fentanyl deaths? If that's an emergency, I don't know what. October 8th, when the Chinese Chinese threatened to put rare earth export controls in the entire world, President Trump threatened 100% tariff. And the Chinese came to the table, and we negotiated on behalf of the whole world.
All right, let me move to the Federal Reserve. I want to ask you about the revelations this week that the Department of Justice is investigating Jerome Powell and the Fed for allegedly going over budget in the Fed building renovations. Chairman Powell responded. He fired back at this. I want to play a little bit and get your reaction on the other side.
This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation.
Is President Trump committed to the independence of the Federal Reserve, Mr.
I mean, it's funny that he says that, because I mean, the Federal Reserve, they never really worked in the benefit of the people in the first place, but it sure did work in the benefit of the big banks, so, or the central banks and the World Bank, but never in the interest of the American people, just for banks.
Of course, he's committed to the independence of the Federal Reserve, but independence does not mean no oversight.
But doesn't this undercut the independence of the Federal Reserve, that the Justice Department is investigating renovations? There are renovations at the White House.
The renovations at the White House are not the 700 million, more than $1 billion, $1.5 billion, the over budget, Kristen. And the White House, that is being paid for with private funds. If I want to buy a new chair for my office at Treasury, that is an appropriation. Just to understand, the Federal Reserve has magic money. They print their own money. So when you have no oversight, why not have a little sunlight? Kristen, I have called since last summer for the Fed to do its own internal investigation, and that has not been heeded. Not been heeded. And again, I don't know about you. When I receive if I were to receive inquiries from the Justice Department, I would answer them. They went unanswered.
Well, let me ask you, because Axios reported that you were not happy about DOJ's investigation, that you told President Trump as much. Axios writes, quote, a perturbed Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told President Trump late Sunday that the federal investigation into the Federal Reserve chair made a mess and could be bad for financial markets. That's according to two sources familiar with the call. Is that accurate?
Well, you know what, Kristen, I'm not going to discuss my conversations with the president, but if I said that, I was wrong. Financial markets, stock market went up, bond yields went down. So the markets are the ultimate arbiter. So the markets are the ultimate arbiter over whether the Fed's independence is being impugned. And bond yields went down. I can tell you, we had two of the best bond auctions that we have had in months for U.S. Treasuries. So the market is looking beyond this. And again, maybe the market wants some transparency from the Fed.
One final question for you, Mr. Secretary. Some Republican senators, as you know, are threatening to block the president's nominees over the Justice Department's investigation. Do you think the investigation needs to be dropped in order for the Senate to confirm the president's next pick to run the Fed?
I think that will be up to the senators.
But are you worried that they'll block the president's pick for the Fed?
I am not. I think we have four great candidates. I think that they will be quite happy with either of the four. I think we will move forward. I believe that we will probably be hearing from the Banking Committee soon on what they would like to see. And again, that supervision, and bringing in some sunlight does not mean coercion.
All right. Thank you so much, Secretary Bessent, for being here to respond to all of the breaking developments overnight. We really appreciate it.
And all right, now let's go ahead and get into the next video here with our guy Howard Lutnick and him explaining one of Trump's other economic advisors on hopefully he's going to explain the benefits of Greenland. But I like the position that Scott Bessent was coming from, because he was pretty much saying, yo, why should we trust these countries to work in our best interest when they already seem to be selling out to China? I mean, think about it like this. We trusted a NATO ally to work in our best interests, but Denmark sold out Greenland to China, basically putting one of our adversaries in our backyard. But we're supposed to trust them to work within our interests. They think that, oh, well, you could just have more military bases. We don't care, honestly, about the military bases. We want securement of this Western Hemisphere and all the rare earth minerals that it has to offer. It is what it is. I mean, of course, military positioning is also important, but obviously it's for the natural resources, because Greenland has already given that up. They already say, yo, you can put as much bases here as you want. But what they're not saying is that, oh, well, you can just have the resources. Why? Because China owned those resources. And who sold it to China? Denmark. And who's Denmark? A NATO ally. And it's crazy how an ally put an adversary in our backyard. Crazy.
I want to start with something that's on the mind of a lot of people here, especially those that live on this continent. Why does the United States need Greenland?
I think for the World Economic Forum to be focused on that sort of misses the big picture, which is that the model of the global and the globalist system has really failed the United States and failed the West, right? The industrialization, the deindustrialization of the United States, and the globalist view that you should find the lowest cost labor somewhere in the world and move production to the lowest cost labor. And you should take all of your workers and just unemploy them all, and rip them off is just.
Hey, yo, and shout out to my man Green Bean. Appreciate the support, my brother. All right, something on Newscomb. He says Newscomb vetoed the bills that were voted all yes in the House and Senate that would audit the funds used for homeless and the new train route. Bro, there had to have been some type of scamming going on with that train route. I'm not sure who set up the shell companies to say that they're building it, but apparently people got paid and we never got a real type of railway. Or, they were saying, well, all of the red line or all of the, paperwork that you got to do. What do they call it? I'm trying to remember what they call it. Not redlining. I forgot what they was calling it when it was Bill Maher who was complaining about it, how he had to get approval to do something in his own backyard or build a shed in his own backyard. He had to get city approval for that. And apparently you got to do a lot of paperwork just to get any real type of construction done in California. I mean, if your average person got to go get paperwork done for a shed, imagine what a construction company got to do. So, yeah, I get it. I'm done. Somebody said, I'll accept a shout out too. Well, because you're the few on, because you're part of the very few on Twitch, I'll give you your shout out. Shout out Liberty Twitcher. Shout out to the few, the Twitch watchers.
The wrong model. So I think the world of the West and the way it thought and the way it acted was just not in America's interest. And in my opinion, it wasn't in the West's interest. It wasn't in Europe's interest. It wasn't.
Oh, no. And also to speak on it as well, the homeless scam. Yeah. So crazy. People were making money off people being homeless more than actually, solving homelessness in California. So that was one of the main problems. Is like, when people are profiting off of homelessness, why would they want to stop it? When people profit off cancer, why would they want to cure it? Like, you see where I'm getting at here? I mean, you can't let people make money off the problem. They should make money off solving a problem, not proliferating it. But okay.
Something that's on the mind of a lot of people here, especially those that live on this continent. Why does the United States need Greenland?
I think for the World Economic Forum to be focused on that sort of misses the big picture, which is that the model of the global and the globalist system has really failed the United States and failed the West, right? The industrialization, the deindustrialization of the United States, and the globalist view that you should find the lowest cost labor somewhere in the world and move production to the lowest cost labor. And you should take all of your workers and just unemploy them all, and rip them off is just the wrong model. So I think the world of the WEF and the way it thought and the way it acted was just not in America's interest. And in my opinion, it wasn't in the West's interest. It wasn't in Europe's interest. It wasn't in the UK's interest either. The way I always thought of the WEF was it wasn't the pole in the middle like a flagpole. It was the flag. Whichever way the wind blew, so blew the WEF.
The World Economic Forum.
The World Economic Forum is the WEF, right? The way the wind blew, so blew the World Economic Forum. That would be the topic of the year. And think about
actually, Trump is actually going to be giving a speech to the World Economic Forum at around 8:30. So I'll probably come back on, if we do not hit goal, then I'll probably come back on to react to that.
Just for a minute. Europe says it wants to be net zero by 2030, and they don't make a battery. They don't make a battery. So how are they going to be net zero unless they decide Europe, the great continent of Europe, is going to be completely subservient to the Chinese who make batteries, right? This is just black and white. It just doesn't make sense. So if you want just the quick topic of Greenland, I would say it this way. The Western Hemisphere is fundamental to the health and national security of the United States of America. Our national security people are on it. But I would say to make America strong, we need to have a strong Western Hemisphere. And the world needs a strong America. Think about this. America set out to do tariffs on the world, and everyone said it would destroy the rest of the world. Europe's stock market, way up. UK stock market, way up.
Hellbat.
Japan, way up.
Oh, shoot. And shout out Hellbat. Hellbat is actually in the, whatchamacallit. Shout out Hellbat in the Rumble chat. Hey, I just seen you, my friend. I just seen you.
Korea, way up. Why are they all up? Because when America shines, the world shines. Because everybody who invests in the world understands a strong America is vital for the world that we all live in.
Well, I want to get to that in a second, but to Greenland first, because whether you like it or not, you're going to get questions about this week from everyone here. 7 in 10 Americans back home don't want this. Don't want a dime of federal taxpayer dollars spent to buy it. Don't want to see troops positioned there. What do you say to those 7 in 10 Americans who don't agree with the president's push to take over Greenland?
Donald Trump has the best intuition of anybody that I've ever met. And he by far is the best person ever to sit in the Oval Office. He understands things. He does it by intuition. He does it by knowledge, and he does it by experience. So if the president of the United States thinks for national security, the Western Hemisphere is fundamental, I promise you, in maybe a year, maybe in 2 years, and maybe in 5 years, every historian will be writing about how fundamentally right he was. I mean, think about April 2nd, how the world was saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, this whole tariff thing, it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong.
No, that's true. That's true. But yeah, a lot of people, they're kind of in their feelings when it comes to the taking over of Greenland. It's like, do you not see the economic benefit this could have? I mean, bro, let's talk about all the rare earth minerals that we need over there. And that would be taken away from China, lessening their grip on rare earth mineral refinery. I mean, isn't that one of the goals, is to go against China? Now, all of a sudden, we got our so-called allies out here protecting their interests. We got our so-called allies right above us, Canada, doing trade deals. Signed a new trade deal with China about a week ago. So, I mean, our so-called allies is acting real funny when we start exerting or starts talking about how we want to take Greenland for ourselves. I mean, you sold it out for China in our hemisphere, so why can't we take it back for ourselves? I mean, it seems like every time we work in our own self-interest, people got a problem with it. And it's funny too, because look, I get all the isolationists and anti-war guys, but y'all got to get out y'all feelings. This is not about war. This is about securing American dominance, financial dominance as well. Do you understand that if the petrodollar fails, you know, we all kind of go down with it? So I'm sorry, but yeah, other countries' sovereignty does not mean as much as the stabilization of our petrodollar. If we need to take over a country, and we've done it before, sadly, but if we actually need to take over a country to assure our economic stability of our people and nation, then yeah, we're going to get down with it. I'm sorry. There's only so many people with suicidal empathy in America to not get this. Only so many, but a lot of people, we get the strategic and economic value of Greenland. Sure, we also get it about Venezuela as well. But Venezuela, they kind of, fed to you with the whole, oh, we're taking out the cartel people and all this good stuff, and we're freeing the people from a dictator. Yeah, no, not really. It was all about removing Russian and Chinese influence. And then, of course, oil, and there's gold and silver, because we're going to need that as well. Oh, and shout out Whiskey. Hey, appreciate it. He says the World Economic Forum is low-key Cobra, or I think you mean Cabal or Cobra, but yeah, Cobra W. Now he says W Trump, G.I. Joe Flex, W Rapid Fire Stream. Good catch up, man. Hey, I appreciate that. I try to give out as much information as possible.
It is so fundamentally right, and you can ask everybody, did it cause inflation?
And shout out to Whiskey Bone Jones, because we'll be going into the next hour.
No. Did it make America stronger? Yes. Did the world stock markets go up? Yes. He was completely correct. So my view is I bet on Donald Trump every time, because anybody who's ever bet against him has been wrong.
And you've known him for years. And there are a lot of people sitting on this side of the world going, this doesn't make any sense. We've got to try to convince him otherwise. You know him. You know that when he gets an idea,
who has to convince him otherwise?
The
Why?
Europeans,
who are these people?
The Europeans are
Why?
trying. You know
And
they're
why?
trying because they don't think that the United States should be taking Danish territory.
They haven't thought about it at all. I think they will think about it more and they will address it. But basically, I'm going to leave that to my national security people to address it with the Europeans, right? You can have disagreements with your friends and allies. You can. And then eventually it'll sort its way out. But I'm going to leave it to them. I am the Commerce Secretary, so let's try to stick to commerce.
And I want to talk about that because this has sparked now talk of a big retaliatory tariff from the EU on the US, $100 billion potentially. That has the potential to affect prices on many different things that get bought and sold into the United States. Two things on that. One, what is the status of the EU trade deal? And does this bazooka tariff, I guess is what they call it, have the potential to upend that agreement?
My opinion is the trade deal that the European Union made with the United States of America is durable.
Okay.
They do not want their auto tariffs to go higher. They do not want their pharmaceutical tariffs to go higher. They do not want their semiconductor tariffs to go higher. They just do not. So I think the trade deal with them, the trade deal with the UK, these are durable. They are going to stay. The two sides will talk and they will discuss it together. And ultimately, I think they will work out a solution and diplomacy will prevail. However, Donald Trump has a clear understanding of his goals and objectives, and everybody will talk together and they will work it out or they won't. But I'm going to leave that to national security. But my view is I do not think economically Europe wants to change the deal they cut between Ursula von der Leyen, Madam President, and Donald Trump. So I just don't think that's going to change.
At this point, you see it going through.
What does that mean?
The US-EU deal. The trade deal that's been worked out that you've been working on will be fulfilled. It won't be upended by this.
I do not think that there is going to be an upending of any of the trade deals that we have made. There are things that we will argue about between our two countries. For sure.
Honestly, I do believe that they will try to threaten the trade deal as a threat. But like I said, everything they're doing is posturing. They're not really going to sit there and try to fight us over Greenland. I mean, think about it. I mean, you're doing all this fighting over Greenland. I mean, where is this for Ukraine? All this crying you guys were doing for Ukraine. Y'all going to fight America over Greenland? I mean, that's rich. But we'll see where that goes for you guys. And I honestly do think that, yeah, they're going to actually want access into our markets as much as you want access into theirs. I mean, that's one of the main reasons they don't like tariffs, because tariffs make it harder for them to get access into our market. And it's kind of funny how, like I said, guys, a lot of our news media on the left, they low-key preach for foreign interests. Like when it came to tariffs, and he tried to frame it as a tax on the American people, but really it was everything that, well, it's what we needed to get a fair trade deal out of our allies. Out of our allies, by the way. Remember this. We had to low-key threaten our allies to give us a good deal. Our allies. I never heard of that before. Your so-called friend or ally, you got to threaten them for them to treat you right or to treat you fairly. I mean, I don't know what I never noticed that's what an ally would do. That's kind of funny, but they're our allies, okay, guys? So let's not forget about that crucial part is that it seems that our allies don't want what's best for us. And when we do what's best for us, they kick, scream, and cry. But then, oh man, we don't get involved in their problems and see their enemies as our enemies, then we're bad as well. I mean, try to drag us into war with Russia would give us no benefit to us. We'd be paying all the money and be losing all the lives. But oh no, we want to take some land to, kind of better our economic situation and better our military, honestly, position in the Arctic, which would only benefit these countries, by the way, just to let you know. But yet we're the bad guy. Crazy.
Sure. Because that's the way it works with friends and allies. But I would say Donald J. Trump understands what he wants, and he will talk to them, and they will work it out. And I think the EU trade deal is solid, firm, and will continue.
Yo, and shout out to my man Hellbat. He says, UN has fallen. They allowed, shout out to my man Hellbat. He said, the UN has fallen. They allowed and covered up our gangs for crying out loud. I mean, bro. Let's be honest, the UN, let's be real. The fact that Trump went around and, trying to solve all these conflicts without the UN's help is actually amazing because they're kind of the people who are supposed to be doing this. The United Nations, supposed to try to unite nations together for peaceful endeavors and all this good stuff. Yeah, they weren't really doing that. Actually, they've been causing more problems than they've actually solved. But, I mean, we can go back and talk about the atrocity of the EUs for days. I mean, let's be real. The EUs, they're kind of causing more conflicts than they're solving. The fact that Trump went out there and solved all these conflicts while the EU sat there on their ass, but as soon as America does something, oh my God, big bad America. It's like, bruh. What about China? Hold on. China was breaking international trade laws all in y'all face. Y'all had nothing to say. Then now you want to talk about international laws? All right. Okay, man. All right, bro. I get it. It does seem like the NATO and the UN was meant to try to neuter American power. And as soon as we try to exert it, they want to try to squash it or shame us for you doing so. Or I'm sorry, but shame us for exerting power that we have the right to, especially to protect our own interest. Shout out to my man Hellbat.
You got the Taiwan deal last week. Who's next?
Well, what we have is from Japan, $550 billion. You have Korea, $200 billion, right? And we can use that for power in America. We've got $150 billion from the Koreans to do shipbuilding, right? And then we've got $500 billion, two classes of $250 billion from Taiwan. Plus we had all the deals that I did separately, like we had Micron agreeing to build $200 billion in America. We've got $1 trillion of semiconductors to build in America. So what we are going to do is we are going to reshore semiconductors, pharmaceuticals, over 250 billion pharmaceuticals coming in, power. We're going to build 100 gigawatts of power for $750 billion in America. And we're going to drive the cost of energy in America down. We're going to win the AI race, produce the power, and we're going to reduce the cost of electricity in America.
But the whole 180 deals in 180 days, you have maybe, 2 dozen so far. Who's next? What's the next big country you're going to finish a trade deal?
Bro, I leave deals for the future in the future, but those are the big ones that I was focused on. And I'm excited about executing a plan of $1.5 trillion of domestic production, right? This is domestic production. Donald Trump has said he's got $18 trillion coming to America. What that means is manufacturing is going to explode. You've seen manufacturing numbers that were weak. That's because housing is weak, because interest rates are too darn high, and we all know it. So when interest rates come down, housing starts and housing construction will grow. But what you're going to see at all of 26, you're going to start to see construction of factories, huge factories. Friday, I went to a groundbreaking of a $100 billion factory. That's a $100 billion factory, 25,000 jobs in upstate New York. And the full Micron $200 billion investment will produce 90,000 jobs in America. Construction to start, and then ultimately high-tech jobs, the best kind of jobs for America.
You are confident in the use of tariffs. You know, though, that the Supreme Court could rule any day now and upend the tariff plan, claiming it's unconstitutional or restricted in some way. What's the backup plan if that happens?
Look, I think the Supreme Court is going to side.
Embargoes. I mean, that's what's coming next. I don't think they want embargoes because, like I said, it's like saying that Trump can't use a wooden stick, but he can use a metal rod. It's like, yeah, you can't use the less severe punishment, which would be a tariff. Because, yeah, I mean, the next step and what they were pretty much saying in those arguments in the Supreme Court on Trump's tariffs was that, yeah, well, I mean, are you saying that the president can impose a 100% embargo but can't propose a 1% tariff? And they were like, well, yeah. All right, then. So you want him to go ahead and just decouple from these countries as punishment? I mean, that's a bit extreme, but I mean, if that's all you're going to give him, then he might just use it.
With Donald Trump and the president and give him the power to do and run the country as best for national emergencies, as you've seen with IEPA. However, the trade deals.
Oh, shout out Hellbat, bro. Hellbat pretty much says that some of these European countries are like the ugly girl in the single girl's friends crowd, just effing everything up so you can never progress. Or it's like that hating ass homie that show Wingman always says embarrassing things around you around the hose. It's like, bruh, just do not want to see you win. Excuse my language on the hose part.
That we have made, right? They're autos, they're semiconductors, they're pharmaceuticals. Those things are not in front of the Supreme Court. So I do not think the European deal, the UK deal, the Tokyo, the Japanese deal, the Korean deal, the Taiwan deal, none of these things are going to change. So the big deals that President Trump has made are going to be durable through that. But I do think it is fundamental that the Supreme Court is going to decide positively for the tariff case. And I think that whenever that comes down, you're going to see President Trump very successful in that.
If they disappoint you and him and rule the other way, though, you've seen companies say, look, we've been paying all this extra money now because of tariffs on the imports that we're trying to bring in. Is there a plan to refund them should the Supreme Court reverse the tariff plan and say you can't do that?
The administration will follow what the Supreme Court says. We have no idea what they're going to say. We'll wait to then, right? Could it be if they said, refund people, that'd be an unholy mess. And they even discussed that and they used the Supreme Court justices used the word mess while they were discussing it in the courtroom when we had the case. So let's wait and see what happens. I sat in that courtroom and I felt that we were a winner, that Donald Trump's IEPA tariffs are going to be stable, they're going to stay, and the Supreme Court of the United States is going to let the one person elected by the people of the United States of America run the foreign policy of the United States of America.
Talking to people who are attending, looking at some of the reports that are done before this week began, there's a lot of concern among business executives. I
mean, it's kind of funny because they're literally crying about Congress now is crying about powers that, well, the Congress before them, 1960s, 1970s, they're crying about powers they already gave the president. I mean, through the Trade Act, through the Trade Power Expansion Act. Yeah, a lot of these acts that were passed through Congress gave Trump the power that he's using now. So, I mean, it is kind of Congress's fault why Trump has this power to, impose tariffs. It is within his right, even though they are crying about it. It is funny. I mean, they take everything to the Supreme Court just to lose. It is absolutely hilarious how they do that.
Around the world about geopolitical instability and their inability to plan ahead because of it. Capturing Maduro, which the world generally agrees was a good thing to extract him from Venezuela, is one example of a sudden disruption and change that suddenly opens up a market. Threatening to take Greenland, though, obviously preoccupies Europe and shows that the president's focused on those kinds of things as well. What do you say to these business executives who say all this geopolitical instabilities, much of it driven by the United States, is making it hard for us to plan ahead?
Let's do a flashback to April 2nd, 2025. Right? All the press, all these businesses, right? oh, hair on fire. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Let's look at the end of 2025, right? United States stock market up, trade deficit down, exports up, right? Imports down, our deficit down. How about the UK? Stock market up big. How about Europe? Stock market up big. How about Japan? Stock market up big. How about Korea? Stock market up big. All of that noise fades away. And now you're going to tell me these things, which pale in comparison, are something that's going to change the outlook? Let me give you a hint. The US government and our US GDP grew 4.3% in the third quarter. The shutdown's going to mess with the fourth quarter. But now we're in the first quarter of 2026. I think we're going to grow over 5%. I think businesses in America are excited to invest in America and are coming in gangbusters to America. I think that kind of talk of worry is not actually going to show its way to groundbreakings, hiring, and growth in America. I think over 5%. And if we finally cut interest rates, because remember, the United States is the greatest credit in the world. Why are we paying the highest rates? If we're the greatest credit, I mean, the probability of the United States paying you back is better than any other country in the world. Why are we paying the highest rates when we have low inflation? And the answer is when those rates come down, you're going to see growth in the United States to hit 6%. And all these companies.
I mean, that, and that means that we don't have to pay so much back on the debt as well. I mean, we start dropping in a quarter point, that saves us about like what, $300 billion or so. So that also helps as well. It also helps us save off these payments on the debt as well, or lower payments on the debt. Doesn't mean that the amount goes down. It just means that we get to pay lower payments.
What they're going to be saying is, the U.S. economy is so amazing. The U.S. consumer is so amazing. There's no place that I'd rather invest my dollars for a good return in America.
Is an investigation of the Federal Reserve Chairman good for Wall Street?
The facts of these kind of matters, I'll leave to others, right? The fact is the President of the United States will choose a new Fed chairman, and that new Fed chairman with the other governors will set the rate of interest rates in the United States of America. And the president has made it crystal clear they should be lower. We're the greatest credit in the world. The rates should be lower.
But let me ask it again. Is it bad for Wall Street to have the Federal Reserve Chairman under investigation?
If he's done something wrong, he's done something wrong. The answer is his term is coming due in a couple of months. There'll be a new Fed chairman, and hopefully rates will come down.
How about the idea of a lawsuit against Jamie Dimon?
Oh, guys, let's not forget to double tap that screen if you haven't already, guys. Let's go ahead and beat this shadow ban by double tapping that screen.
You think that's a good idea? The president's talking about investigating him.
Actions of companies against the president is between the president and those companies, right? I am the Secretary of Commerce. I'm going to stay deeply in my lane, which is the growth of the United States of America is going to be over 5% in the first quarter, in my opinion, because of the policies of the Trump administration, which are the most pro-business policies of any president ever. And my advice to Europe and my advice to the UK is watch what he does and try copying it. Try copying the digital model the United States has. I mean, it's got $6 trillion of data center commitments. Why not, instead of attacking our tech?
I mean, the problem is because they want to sell out to China because it's easier for their leaders to, and even though it's at their own economic destruction of their own people. But yeah, a lot of these EU leaders rather sell out to China and Russia, actually. I mean, despite all the fear mongering they're doing, they still buy a whole lot of Russian energy. So the problem is that, yeah, these world leaders over there in Europe, they've already sold out to the worst of the worst. I mean, they already sold out to China. This is why they have a problem with a whole bunch of Chinese steel in their market, a whole bunch of watered down Chinese steel in their market, and it's been decimating their steel industry just like it did to ours. So it is kind of funny how they got mad at us for imposing tariffs when they also need to impose some tariffs themselves. Oh, wait, yes, they did actually. They did put a 25% tariff on Chinese steel and aluminum. But hey, nobody got mad at them for that.
Companies. Why not embrace them and let them build in your country and reap the benefits, not of just taxing them and fining them and attacking them, but rather let them produce job growth in your country. Watch America succeed. And maybe, just maybe, our allies will figure out, hey, that's a good way to go instead of windmills and the wrong way to go.
Two real quick things that touch the American consumer back home. First off, the TikTok deal. Is it closing on Friday as scheduled?
I don't know.
So we should anticipate another extension?
No, I literally, I'm not up on whether the TikTok deal is closing on Friday. I just don't.
The kids are worried, they've been wondering. So
it's been good so far, and I think they've worked out a deal. So I'm pretty optimistic.
Housing was allegedly going to be a big part of what the president's talking about this week in his speech here on affordability in the economy. There's this talk, I guess, of dipping into your 401k for a one-time down payment. Are you familiar with this proposal?
I am.
And then some other incentives potentially for home builders. Is that what I heard? What do you know? What is the general sketch right now?
I'm going to lead the president's speech for the president's speech, but the president.
I mean, yeah, they need to make it cheaper for home builders to build single family homes. I'm not sure. I wouldn't really like a government subsidy going into it, but maybe we need to find the price or find a way to lower the pricing of concrete, lumber, bricks, all this good stuff that you need to build a house. Let's try to find a way to lower the prices of those and materials instead of trying to subsidize an industry. Because, I mean, Lord knows that only works until the subsidy money runs out. Or American people are just tired of subsidizing. And I mean, do we really want to have to subsidize another industry just for it to stay affordable? I don't think so. I mean, look how Obamacare worked.
The president is very focused on affordability. When he left office 5 years ago, right? This is a 1-year anniversary. The average age of a first-time buyer was 33 years of age. Pretty reasonable. Now it's 40 because Biden had so much inflation, drove the prices up, and interest rates are still too darn high, right? They just, with President Trump finally pushing, right, the agencies to buy $200 billion worth of agency mortgages, the interest rate on mortgages dropped below 6%. And what happened? You had the #1 week of home buyers going to visit new homes and #1 week in decade of refinancing. So that's the idea. The idea is let's bring back the opportunity of demand and let's help young couples get into those first-time homes. The president is on it. He's focused on it. But what he needs, of course, is lower interest rates.
And the 401k thing is indeed the proposal he's working on then.
Well, he's going to talk about it. I've heard it. I'll leave to the president his announcement.
And is there anything in all this for renters? Those that may not be ready to, may not want to buy a home? Is that at all part of the conversation?
I think affordability in America is a key driver of the outcome of this presidency. He's on it. He wants prices down, gas prices down, right? He goes to Venezuela. He now has the ability to drive gas prices down, drive electricity prices down, drive prices lower. We're going to build 100 gigawatts of power in America to drive electricity prices down. So the president's on it, and he understands he's America's president, and he's going to help all Americans on affordability.
31 World Economic Forums. What's your favorite event you ever attended here?
My favorite event has
the one you walked away from and said, that was a fun party, or this was the most important meeting I ever had here?
Well, for all those years that I would come here, I would spend 2 days with my clients, and I would seek 1 day on science, right? And I would spend it with a Nobel Prize winner who would teach me something. And one of the things I learned, I went out with the woman who, remember, she proved, Elizabeth, I think her first name was Elizabeth, that the DNA strands fray at the ends. And she said that comes from stress. And I said, and she said, no, Howard, not your kind of stress. Your stress is chosen stress. The stress she's talking about is when someone cannot get out of it, when their mother's sick and they can't get out of it, and their son is in trouble and they can't get out of it. Those things change your life expectancy. And so what it did is it drove me to try to help change outcomes for people so that they have less stress in their lives. And that was one of the most important things.
I mean, ain't that the truth? Hey, man, you make things more affordable. I mean, look, life expectancy gonna go up. Why? Because people ain't stressing so damn much just to live. I mean, hey, man, those are some wise words right there. But all right, now, man, let's get into one of the backstabbers of the U.S., our ally over here, Carney. Yes, Canada's prime minister, an ally.
Is submitted to no limits, no constraints. On the other hand, I would like to tell you that the other countries, especially intermediate powers like Canada, are not powerless.
Really?
They have the capacity to build a new order that encompasses our values.
Yeah, this whole New World Order that they were talking about when they signed the deal with China. And honestly, like I said, bro, like, look, I know I sound wild right now, but maybe we do need to kidnap this fool. Maybe we do. Maybe he needs a good kidnapping. Because what do we do to the last guy that was trying to work with China? What do we do to the last guy that was trying to buy oil in Chinese yuan? Yeah, he got kidnapped. So maybe this man needs to be kidnapped. I don't know. He's talking about China. He's talking about working further with China, a new world order. And it seems like he chose the superpower that he wants to be ahead of this new world order. And it is China. I mean, you know why? Because China only protects the elites. And they don't really care about the bottom. They don't really care about their middle class. They don't. I mean, bro, we got over like what 900 million people in China that never flown on a plane before. I mean, crazy. About what 600 million people in China that can't afford to buy a cup of coffee. And apparently this guy wants Canada to be a part of that. But this is this whole new world order that they're talking about, I guess.
Such as respect for human rights, sustainable development, solidarity, sovereignty, and territorial integrity of the various states.
Oh, yeah, Alberta. Oh, yeah, I already heard about Alberta. Yeah, they're trying to succeed away from China because it's just like, well, not China, but Canada, because it's just too much. And Canada seems to be feeding off these guys while shooting themselves in the foot. It's crazy.
Power of the less power starts with honesty.
It seems that every day we're reminded that we live in an era of great power rivalry.
True.
That the rules-based order is fading. That the strong can do what they can and the weak must suffer what they.
Yeah, I mean, he's making a good point right there. That we kind of got to align themselves on what superpower they want to align with. But here's the problem, though. I don't think that Trump should just glaze over the fact that, yeah, this guy chose it, and he's in our hemisphere, and he chose China. So, Trump, I mean, I think you need to keep that same energy you had with Maduro with Carney. Even if the NATO guys freak out, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, they've already shown that they're against American interests, so I mean, what else you need? Do we really need to consider these guys ally any longer? I'm just saying.
Must. And this aphorism of Thucydides is presented as inevitable, as the natural logic of international relations reasserting itself. And faced with this logic, there is a strong tendency for countries to go along to get along, to accommodate, to avoid trouble, to hope that compliance will buy safety. Well, it won't. So what are our options? In 1978, the Czech dissident Václav Havel, later president, wrote an essay called The Power of the Powerless. And in it, he asked a simple question: how did the communist system sustain itself? And his answer began with the greengrocer. Every morning, the shopkeeper places a sign in his window: "Workers of the world unite." He doesn't believe it. No one does. But he places the sign anyway to avoid trouble, to signal compliance, to get along. And because every shopkeeper on every street does the same, the system persists. Not through violence alone.
Now, well, I'm not sure if Wesley is honestly talking to me when he says it's a free market, compete. I mean, yeah, but I would like to compete against people who actually believe in a free market, and that's not China. I mean, let's be real with you. And the way the socialist values that Canada holds, you can't really say that they're too much of a free market either. So it's kind of funny how everybody wants us to abide by the rules of a free market when a lot of these countries that we're dealing with don't abide by those rules themselves. So it's like you want us to play like fairly in a game where everybody's playing unfairly. which would be pretty dumb.
but through the participation of ordinary people in rituals they privately know to be false. Havel called this living within a lie. The system's power comes not from its truth, but from everyone's willingness to perform as if it were true. And its fragility comes from the same source. When even one person stops performing, when the greengrocer removes his sign, the illusion begins to crack. Friends, it is time for companies and countries to take their signs down. For decades,
oh, they have universal healthcare, Link. I mean, that's not free market. Honestly, it's like it's universal healthcare, my friend. That's not really too much of a free market there. Honestly, it's like select providers honestly get most of the business and they dominate there. So yeah, not too much of a free market there. Not really too much of a free market for the small business to compete in. But hey, it is what it is.
for decades, countries like Canada prospered under what we called the rules-based international order. We joined its institutions, we praised its principles, we benefited from its predictability.
Really no competition.
And because of that, we could pursue values-based foreign policies under its protection. We knew the story of the international rules-based order was—
Oh no, what affects U.S. interests is that they're doing a trade deal with China. That affects U.S. interests because they're bringing more Chinese influence into their economy, and we don't want that. I mean, Link, did you not get the memo? It's all about hemispherical dominance. So if they're in our hemisphere and they're over here saluting China or working with China or Russia, then they might, you know, go ahead and get, well, kidnapped. It is what it is. And we'll see. Because what he's doing is not so far to what Maduro was doing, minus the the dictatorship. But I ain't gonna lie, if you ask the people in Alberta, I mean, shoot, they might actually call his ass Maduro.
It's partially false. That the strongest would exempt themselves when convenient. That trade rules were enforced asymmetrically. And we knew that international law applied with varying rigor depending on the identity of the accused or the victim. This fiction was useful. And American hegemony in particular helped provide public goods, open sea lanes, a stable financial system.
Link, you're playing into my point that I was just getting into. Like I said, as soon as we work within our own self-interest, now everybody wants to turn against America. And this shows us that, you guys only care to be in in good standing with us if we had trade deals that benefited you guys. If you guys could break the rules, but we would follow them. I mean, just like with China. So they could break trade law and nobody says anything. But I mean, everybody want to cry about us taking Greenland, but you guys were letting China break international law all in our faces. I'm just saying, but they're looking out for their self-interest. I don't blame China. It's just funny how, you know, places like Canada and other NATO countries will let other countries exert their self-interest, but as soon as America does it, it's a problem. And I mean, all right, cool, but if I was Carney, or if I was Carney's advisor, I would tell him, like, you know, a president literally got kidnapped for pretty much doing what you're doing. But okay, we'll see. And like, it is kind of crazy that you're going to stand firm against America when you kind of need America's army to protect you, but okay.
Collective security, and support for frameworks for resolving disputes. So we placed the sign in the window. We participated in the rituals, and we largely avoided calling out the gaps between rhetoric and reality. This bargain no longer works. Let me be direct. We are in the midst of a rupture, not a transition. Over the past 2 decades, a series of crises in finance, health, energy, and geopolitics have laid bare the risks of extreme global integration. But more recently, great powers have begun using economic integration as weapons.
True.
Tariffs as leverage, financial infrastructure as coercion, supply chains as vulnerabilities to be.
And here's the thing, though. He's crying about that, but I mean, like, bro, what do you think would happen if you go against China? What do you think if you fall out of China's interest? They're going to do the same thing. So guys, ignore everything he's talking about. Oh, well, it's because U.S. is being, well, aggressive in trade. No, it's because U.S. isn't letting you guys have your way. And because of that, you chose China. And I mean, let's be honest, if you go against China, they'll hit you with the same thing. So I'm sorry, but don't get mad at a country because for imposing tariffs on you guys because you're acting out of that country's interests. I mean, that's what any country would do, even the countries that you're bending over for now.
Exploited. You cannot live within the lie of mutual benefit through integration when integration becomes the source of your subordination. The multilateral institutions on which the middle powers have relied, the WTO, the UN, the COP, the architecture, the very architecture of collective problem solving are under threat. And as a result, many countries are drawing the same conclusions, that they must develop greater strategic autonomy in energy, food, critical minerals, in finance and supply chains. And this impulse is understandable. A country that can't feed itself, fuel itself, or defend itself has few options. When the rules no longer protect you, you must protect yourself. But let's be clear-eyed about where this leads. A world of fortresses will be poorer, more fragile, and less sustainable. And there's another truth. If great powers abandon even the pretense of rules and values for the unhindered pursuit of their power and interests, the gains from transactionalism will become harder to replicate. Hegemons cannot continually monetize their relationships. Allies will diversify to hedge against uncertainty. They'll buy insurance, increase options in order to rebuild sovereignty. Sovereignty that was once grounded in rules, but will increasingly be anchored in the ability to withstand pressure. This room knows this is classic risk management. Risk management comes at a price. But that cost of strategic autonomy, of sovereignty, can also be shared. Collective investments in resilience are cheaper than everyone building their own fortresses. Shared standards reduce fragmentations.
And this will be the problem because, and like I said, I mean, countries like Canada is going to be the reason why we turn into an imperial force. When we got so-called allies letting our adversaries in our own backyard on the claim of, well, oh, you know, we need to protect ourselves from risk. Okay, great. Let's take away all the risk, and you're in America, and you're in America state now. How about that? There you go. Took all the risk out of it. I mean, this is what could turn us into an imperialist nation. And that's one of the reasons why is to hold our economic standing, not only for the nation, but for the people of this nation as well. And I keep telling you guys, if you think that the nationhood of Canada means more than America's self-interest or our economic stability, then I'm telling you this right now, it don't. And this man right here is playing a very dangerous game. And I'm gonna be real with you, it ain't outside the possibility in about 3 months we get him up out of there somehow, some way. You never know.
Complementarities are positive sum.
You know, I mean, hey, and I say, 3 months because, well, that's by the time midterms. And if Trump don't get stopped in the midterms, then, well, it's looking like we're going to go on an imperialist rampage. And I mean, all through, the Western hemisphere. I mean, I could see us taking more of Latin America, like Cuba, Mexico, all the way down, Ecuador, all the way down to Colombia. I mean, F it. We might as well take Brazil as well because we want everybody to align in our interests, apparently, according to Trump. So if our own neighbor is willing to go outside of our interest, I mean, and we just snatched up Maduro for basically doing the same thing he's doing, I mean, how long? How long, guys, until my man here gets snatched up himself? It is what it is. And no new war. I mean, bro, these guys wouldn't be a war. Sorry. I mean, it's actually funny how people actually think that taking on, was Venezuela a war? No, it wasn't. We took them out so easy. It was like dealing with kids. Bro, Canada is going to be twice as easy. Taking over Canada will be twice as easy as taking over Venezuela, sadly. Actually, Canada depends on us to protect them. So what war? Greenland, what? The 30, 50 soldiers they sent there? I think they said they're planning on sending 10,000. Still would be easy work, especially we pull out of NATO and they be enemy combatants. I'm pretty sure they're gonna pull out. So what war? Who's gonna oppose us? I think you guys forget the only people that can oppose us in this world is Russia, is China. If it ain't them, then we're not hearing it. It's not really worth talking about. That's the reality of this world.
And the question for middle powers like Canada is not whether to adapt to the new reality. We must. The question is whether we adapt by simply building higher walls or whether we can do something more ambitious. Now, Canada was amongst the first to hear the wake-up call, leading us to fundamentally shift our strategic posture. Canadians know that our old comfortable assumptions that our geography and alliance memberships automatically
look, I get it. I get it. I mean, a lot of people don't want to be under that American boot. I get it. But I mean, like I said, your self-interest, it doesn't really matter when it comes to American self-interest. And that's the problem here. I mean, you're dealing with a country that got a big military, population, weapons, all this good stuff we just got more of, and it's bigger. So, yeah. Like all of this whole NATO, EU, this all works out because of the United States. I hope you know this. Like, if we withdraw out of that, then you guys are left to Russia and China, not just economically, but military-wise as well. Like, I hope you guys understand this part. But that's what the world won't tell you is that, yeah, I mean, the only reason why NATO is even there or NATO is even feared is because it has America backing it. Nobody's going to fear America. Nobody's going to fear NATO if we're out of it. I mean, who are they going to be fearing? What? The French? They can't even protect their borders against what? Immigrants on boats? Like, please tell me who's the fear in NATO? Nobody.
Prosperity and security, that assumption is no longer valid. And our new approach rests on what Alexander Stubb, the president of Finland, has termed value-based realism. Or to put another way, we aim to be both principled and pragmatic. Principled in our commitment to fundamental values, sovereignty, territorial integrity, the prohibition of the use of force except when consistent with the UN Charter, and respect for human rights. And pragmatic in recognizing that progress is often incremental, that interests diverge, that not every partner will share all of our values. So we're engaging broadly, strategically with open eyes. We actively take on the world as it is, not wait around for a world we wish to be. We are calibrating our relationships so their depth reflects our...
And he's pretty honestly, like as a second-rate country, he's basically saying we're choosing the superpower we want to deal with. And like I said, there's only the first tier, second tier, and third tier countries. First tier countries, only 3 of them. There's the US, Russia, China. That's all. That's it. The second tier countries are countries that get to choose, you know, what superpower they want to deal with. I mean, you got Saudi Arabia. We thought Venezuela, but that was proved wrong to us. But I think a really good example would be like Saudi Arabia. They can choose if they want to deal with the Russians, if they want to deal with the United States. They have free will to do so. There's other second tier countries as well that I'm pretty sure you can name off where they can choose if they'd rather deal with Russia, China, or the US. Then there's third tier countries like, you know, newly demoted Venezuela, which was a second tier, but now it's a third tier because as we found out, they cannot choose who they deal with. They were dealing with Russia and China, but now they can only deal with the US. It's like damn near like how African countries are. Like they don't get choice over the resources, who their leaders are, anything. Any third rate country, bro, they don't get to choose their elections. We choose their elections. They just get the illusion that they choose their elections. I know, talk about election fraud. I know we complain about election fraud, but trust me, we do it in other countries. By controlling their elections, we control the leaders, we control the resources are ran, and all that good stuff. These are the fate of third-tier countries. Just the way the world works. And I mean, Canada, well, it's a second-tier country. I mean, we'll never know if it'll be demoted to a third tier, but it's a second-tier country because it's allowed to choose what superpower they want to deal with the most. And they're choosing China in our hemisphere, and we'll see if they'll be allowed to do that, and we'll see if they'll be well proven to be a third-rate country or third-tier country. We'll see.
Values. And we're prioritizing broad engagement to maximize our influence. Given the fluidity of the world at the moment, the risks that this poses and the stakes for what comes next. And we are no longer just relying on the strength of our values, but also the value of our strength. We are building that strength at home. Since my government took office, we have cut taxes on incomes, on capital gains and business investment. We have removed all federal barriers to interprovincial trade. We are fast-tracking $1 trillion of investments in energy, AI, critical minerals, new trade corridors, and beyond. We're doubling our defense spending by the end of this decade, and we're doing so in ways that build our domestic industries.
I mean, bend
and
a
we
knee.
are rapidly
Bro,
diversifying.
they're supposed to bend a knee. They're not supposed to sit there and go over to our biggest adversaries. Bro, the reason why they got business is because of us. I mean, are you serious? Bro, the reason why they're protected militarily is because of us. So, I mean, the least they could do is make sure that they're giving business or mainly all of their business to us. So, and here's the thing. I mean, bro, you're right. You're right. We did push them to that. It is what it is. But I mean, we're about to see if they even have the right to choose that for themselves. Because the way Trump talking and the way he's been acting, I mean, if you act against the American interest and let in foreign interest, then you're cooked. I mean, you are cooked. Let's see. Let's give him 3 months. I mean, Trump says it's cool now, but we've all seen how Trump plays. He'll be like, oh, yeah, man, we just had a good conversation, man. We had a good conversation over the phone. He sounded like a real nice guy. Then 3 days later, we're kidnapping him. So let's see where this goes.
Fine abroad. We've agreed a comprehensive strategic partnership with the EU, including joining SAFE, the European Defense Procurement Arrangements. We have signed 12 other trade and security deals on 4 continents in 6 months. The past few days, we've concluded new strategic partnerships with China and Qatar. We're negotiating free trade.
All right. China, really, bro. Qatar, well, I don't know. Well, I mean, we like them too. We like them too, so it is what it is. But China, all right, bro, really?
Trade pacts with India, ASEAN, Thailand, Philippines, and Mercosur. We're doing something else.
All right.
To help solve global problems, we're pursuing variable geometry. In other words, different coalitions for different issues based on common values and interests. So on Ukraine, we're a core member of the Coalition of the Willing and one of the largest per capita contributors to its defense and security. On Arctic sovereignty, we stand firmly with Greenland and Denmark and fully support their unique right to determine Greenland's future. Our commitment to NATO's Article 5 is unwavering.
With what army, bro? I mean, that's the funny part. Your Article 5 with what army? Like, that's the most hilarious thing when they say, well, we're going to back up Greenland. I'm just like, wait, what? With who? With what? What, with our weapons? Like, come on now.
We're working.
Like, here's the thing. You could tell, and this is going to sound messed up what I'm about to say, but we're kind of pulling their insecurity on this. Bro, a lot of these like nations, they know they were riding by on, well, the good grace of these superpowers, of us, Russia, and China. They're riding on the good grace of the superpowers. I mean, like, you only have sovereignty because a superpower allows you to. I mean, that's just the truth of the world. You only got sovereignty because a superpower allows you to. Think about what I'm saying.
With our NATO allies, including the Nordic-Baltic Gate, to further secure the alliance's northern and western flanks, including through Canada's unprecedented investments in over-the-horizon radar, in submarines, in aircraft, and boots on the ground, boots on the ice.
All right.
Canada strongly opposes tariffs over Greenland and calls for focused talks to achieve our shared objectives of security and prosperity in the Arctic. On plurilateral trade, we're championing efforts to build a bridge between the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the European Union, which would create a new trading bloc of 1.5 billion people. On critical minerals, we're forming buyers clubs anchored in the G7 so that the world can diversify away from concentrated supply. And on AI, we're cooperating with like-minded democracies to ensure that we won't ultimately be forced to choose between
So does China count as a democracy? Because I mean, it's kind of crazy. Hey, look, man, it's funny how some of these guys will act. It's like, yeah, I'll call China democracy just to get some of that money, just get some of that money. This guy. But all right, guys, let's go ahead and get over to, well, the new complaints on ICE. Go ahead and get right into it.
The Trump administration's ICE. Protesters for and against the Trump administration's ICE crackdown clashed in Minneapolis Saturday as Governor Tim Walz prepared to mobilize his state's National Guard troops to assist local law enforcement. As the Washington Post is reporting, the Pentagon is preparing active duty soldiers for a possible deployment to Minnesota. In a moment, we're going to bring in Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. But first, Fox News correspondent Matt Finn is in Minneapolis. Matt.
And Shannon, the Washington Post reports about 1,500 active duty soldiers are prepared to possibly head here to Minnesota if the violence escalates. And yesterday, it was another day of some pretty intense clashes.
Unrest showing no signs of slowing down in the Twin Cities. Persistent protesters even lit fires for warmth on a snowy Friday night outside of the ICE detention center. Hours earlier, inside, U.S. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche telling immigration agents the DOJ will go after anyone who lays a finger on them.
My marching orders from President Trump all the way on down, Attorney General Bondi all the way on down, is that every single time.
And things have gotten actually worse in Minneapolis. Like there was a federal judge who literally tried to say that, you know, protesters could start following ICE around. ICE is not allowed to retaliate against these protesters who will turn obstructionists. Now, look, if they're out there peacefully protesting, that's great. When a protester turned to obstructioner, like, or an obstructionist, then I'm sorry, but yeah, that's where they're allowed to be detained. That's where they got to get locked up because they're impeding an investigation. And these investigations are important because they're taking criminals off the street, not just undocumented immigrants, but undocumented criminals as well. And y'all libs honestly got to get over that at a certain point. Like, I know the Renee Good shooting was terrible and all this good stuff, and you guys think it's murder, but I mean, what happened to due process, guys? Yeah, what happened to due process? You remember Kilmore Garcia and all these illegals you were talking about due process about? Yeah, what happened to innocent till proven guilty, guys? Yeah, stick to that. Like, have some consistency for once.
That happens, we will prosecute.
In a special state address this week, Governor Walz telling people to collect evidence against ICE.
All across Minnesota, people are learning about opportunities, not just to resist, but to help people who are in danger.
The DOJ is now investigating Walz and Fry for possibly impeding immigration enforcement. Mayor Fry says the probe is meant to intimidate him. Governor Walz writing, the only person not being investigated for the shooting of Renee Good is the federal agent who shot her. Outraged Democrats allege DHS agents are racially profiling and violating civil rights.
For the moment, we can certainly block giving additional funding to ICE and CBP.
And Shannon, here in Minnesota, anti-ICE activists
Like block additional funding for ICE. I mean, how about this? How about you guys use your local police, do some crowd control, some protest control, and make sure that these protesters don't get in the way of ICE. And that's all y'all got to do. I mean, it's as simple as that. Like, to be quite honest with you, like when it's that effing simple to fix the problem, it's almost a shame that you haven't fixed the problem yet.
have scheduled a statewide day of action for this Friday. They're asking people not to go to work, not to go to school, and not to make purchases. Shannon.
All right, Matt Finn reporting from Minneapolis. Matt, thank you to you and your team there on the ground. And joining us now, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche.
Oh, guys, do me a favor and double tap that screen, like the video, guys. We got about 13 of y'all in here, man. Do me a favor and double tap that screen. Let's go ahead and beat the shadow band.
Thanks for your time this morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so let's start here. I want to play a little bit more of what Congresswoman Jayapal had to say about what she says is actually happening on the ground there in Minneapolis.
We are seeing horrifying videos of ICE agents battering down people's doors without a warrant, racially profiling people on the street, busting in car windows and trying to intimidate and suppress the First Amendment rights to peacefully protest.
So my question is she inaccurate the way she's mischaracterizing, or is she mischaracterizing what's happening there? Or is that actually happening, but the argument is ICE has the authority to do what they're doing?
Yeah, what you just heard was a complete lie. That is absolutely not is what's happening on the ground in Minnesota. I was there on Friday. I saw what the men and women of ICE are doing every day, and they are doing their job. And there are folks that may not like that they're doing their job, but these blatant accusations that they're violating the First Amendment or somehow committing crimes are not only completely false, but they're doing real damage to our law enforcement officers around the country. And it's,
yeah, they got to turn down the language. They're calling them, well, I'm gonna be real with you. And I know a lot of my Democratic or my liberal homies hate when I say this, but it's because of the rhetoric of the left. When you guys called ICE Gestapo, fascist, you're saying that they'll disappear you. Do you understand that this goes into the psyche of your base, and they do tend to overreact when they're around ICE? Like, there was a black lady who was pulled over by ICE, an American citizen, due to y'all rhetoric. She completely overreacted with ICE in the car and ended up putting her kids in danger. Like, because she overreacted to ICE over just a normal stop. Like, you guys got to turn down the language because you're causing overreaction in the people. And this overreaction is what caused Renee Good to get shot. That's what caused her death. To be honest with you, it really wasn't the shooting. It was you guys. If it was your rhetoric, your guys' rhetoric. And you guys need to take accountability and turn down the temperature on how you speak about ICE. De-radicalize your base, or they will keep overreacting and getting themselves hurt, or much worse, killed.
interesting that there are thousands of immigration actions all over this country every single day, and nowhere do you hear this outrage, this made-up outrage from local politicians and activists, except for in Minnesota, and that should be telling to the American people.
So they have, those who are protesting and supporting the protesters took this to court. A federal judge on Friday late.
Now, I get what y'all saying. Like, nah, that's what they want. That's what they want. But I'm gonna be honest with you, not all of them. A lot of them, they're just blind idiots and they don't really see what they're doing. There's a lot of dumbasses out there that don't honestly see what they're doing and they're just following a narrative. But I'm be real with you. Yeah, there are some people who know exactly what they're doing. They want these people to go out there and risk their lives, risk their freedom, risk their safety while they sit back in their mansion and, sip mojitos all day, or sit back in their mansion and I don't know, sit there and look at the fires of the protest from their second floor. Like, shit, wasn't that what Tim Walz's wife was doing during the BLM riots? Apparently they just revel in chaos. So it is what it is. You're right. So I mean, most of these guys probably do want it, but there are a few out there that actually do need to hear what I'm saying. They might actually take it to heart. You never know. Not all these guys are liberal lunatics. Just most of them.
Ruled that there are a number of things agents cannot do now. Part of what she said is they can't use pepper spray or similar non-lethal munitions on these crowds. She does reference them being engaged in peaceful and unobstructive protest activity.
Yeah, federal judge orders limits on ICE actions, okay? On ICE agents' acts. Using pepper spray or similar non-lethal... Limitations, let's see, crowd dispersal tool agents, okay. So you pretty much can't use pepper spray, mace, or any type of crowd dispersal tool against a person who are engaged in peaceful and unobstructive protest activity. So crazy. It's kind of retarded to say this, like, excuse my language, but it is really dumb to say this because, if they were peacefully protesting, they wouldn't be getting pepper spray. They wouldn't be getting mace. They wouldn't get the little yellow stuff in the face. They wouldn't be getting shot with paintballs if they were just peacefully protesting. They're getting in the way of ICE cars. They're obstructing ICE officers. They're trying to break the wall of ICE officers, like trying to break a security wall. So, after that, you're not a peaceful protester no more, and you will get pepper spray. You will get mace, and I will sit there and be like, well, you deserve that one.
She also said you can't stop or detain drivers or passengers in vehicles where there's no reasonable, articulable suspicion.
What, bro, is this lady dumb? No, this lady literally thinks that ICE is out there just breaking all types of laws or whatever. Like, they're just literally out there locking up peaceful protesters when that's not it at all. She thinks, like, what she's saying is what ICE has already been doing. Like, crazy enough. If they're peaceful protesters, they don't got to worry about Loki going to jail. They don't got to worry about getting pepper sprayed or anything like that if they're just peacefully protesting. It's the people who go a bit further and who go way further than that. That's the problem. But drivers and passengers in vehicles where there is no reasonable wait, what? Hold on, man. She gotta say that one again.
Engaged in peaceful and unobstructive protest activity. She also says you can't stop or detain drivers or passengers in vehicles where there's no reasonable, articulable suspicion that they're actually obstructing or interfering. She goes on.
What? I mean, they weren't doing that anyway. They weren't doing that anyway. If they're walking up to a vehicle, it's most likely because it is because they're obstructing and they're giving a warning. If you're just going about your business, ICE is not walking up to you. If you just got your car parked right there, you're just chilling, not parked in the middle of the road or taking up a lane, but just regularly parked in the street, ISIS has no beef with you. Like I said, like what they're saying, ICE is already doing right now. The problem is, though, it's the obstruction. There are protesters that are crossing that line, going into obstructing the police or ICE or law enforcement. That it is what it is. I'm sorry, but the federal judge, she don't know what's going on out there. She literally think that they're doing this to peaceful protesters when that's not it.
On to say, if they're following and tagging and filming ICE, that is not something that is a stoppable issue. So how does this impact operations there? And are you going to appeal that decision?
We're still looking at whether to appeal what that judge did at this point. But I'll tell you, it's absurd for the media and some of these politicians to call what these folks are doing as peaceful protests. They're throwing rocks at ICE officers. They are standing in the roadway where they try to drive by. They're putting their vehicles in the roadway while they try to drive by. So if a judge tells ICE officers not to violate the constitutional rights of protesters, we got it. We're not violating the constitutional rights. But what should be happening, instead of going after ICE officers, what should be happening is local leaders should be sending law enforcement out to stop the protesters from assaulting ICE officers for doing nothing except for their job. And that's the real issue here, is you have men and women who have families going out and doing exactly what they're supposed to do and being screamed at, pushed, assaulted, having rocks thrown at them. We will not tolerate that. And that's been our position from the beginning, and it will remain our position for the rest of this administration.
Okay, so Friday we also learned that the DOJ is reportedly investigating Governor Walz, Mayor Fry there. They have both responded. Here's what we heard from the mayor on Friday. He said, "It's an obvious attempt to intimidate me for standing up for Minneapolis, our local law enforcement, and our residents against the chaos and danger this administration has brought to our streets." He says, "I will not be intimidated."
No.
What can you tell us about the
All
investigation?
right, I guess I'll address this one good
the
time.
perception or accusation?
I guess I'll address this one good time. But yeah, right now I am under a current shadow ban. And well, the way you get out of a shadow ban is honestly kind of got to grind it out. YouTube will never admit to you. You can give them all the proof in the world that you're being shadow banned, which I gave them an extensive amount of proof, even pointing out the fact that they took my lives off the shorts feed discoverability. Now, I could actually show you this, but I'll probably show some of my members later. But if you look at my past lives that were receiving over 100K plus views, you will see that, well, most of that traffic came from the shorts feed, about 90% of it. They have now stopped featuring my lives on the shorts feed, and they've pretty much taken it off completely, which kills, guess what? 90% of how people find my live and 90% of my engagement on my lives. Now, here's the funny part, though. They've actually increased engagement on my short form videos or my long form videos, like my clips and stuff, and my shorts. So I don't know there might be a recalibration of the algorithm on that one. So you never know. But for what I can tell, I've been pretty much been taken off the recommendation list when it comes to the shorts feed, and that's how 90% of people were finding my lives anyway. So yeah, pretty much a shadow ban when you're throttling somebody's engagement by taking them off one of the ways people even find their content, or one of the highest ways. 90% of people found my content through this, and they took me off it. It is what it is.
That you all are weaponizing law enforcement against these folks.
You saw the governor and the mayor actively encouraging criminals to go out on the street and impede ICE. That is not allowed under our law. When a federal officer is out doing their job, they have to be allowed to do their jobs. And the fact that we had to stand up and tell a mayor, that we had to stand up and tell a governor to stop encouraging the folks that are out there running around trying to stop ICE, to stop encouraging them, when what they really should be doing is helping their fellow federal officers.
True.
Is something that
Oh, here's the thing, though. I do believe that Tim Walz and Jacob Fry should be brought up on obstruction charges. Why? Because, bro, really, Jacob Fry. Honestly, we can kind of excuse Tim Walz out of this because it's in Minneapolis. And Jacob Fry, he's the mayor of Minneapolis. So he can actually bring out the local police to provide crowd control. So a lot of these protesters aren't, enticed or aren't, given the rein to go out there and obstruct ICE, and they won't get arrested and more won't be hurt. He has all the power in the world to stop this today at this very second, but he doesn't. So, yeah, obstruction charges he should be brought up on.
That's horrible. But listen, no matter who you are, whether you're a governor, a mayor, or somebody out there on the streets assaulting ICE, you cannot, under federal law, you cannot impede a federal officer doing their job. And that's what we're looking at. And I'm not going to talk about the investigation, but American people can see what the mayor has been saying. They can see what the governor's been saying, and it's obvious that has to stop.
Well, the governor's response referenced a number of things, going after Mark Kelly, he says, Alyssa Slotkin, Jerome Powell, but he also mentioned what Matt Finn mentioned in his reporting there. He says the only person not—
No, I'm almost afraid to do that because, bro, you don't understand how pissed off I would be if that actually worked. If I actually had to put a gay or a trans flag in the backsplash of my profile, bro, and imagine if everything came back, like, bro, everything just came back, views and all. I've just been like, bro, those evil sons of bitches, bro. You evil son of a bitch. You're telling me I gotta support gay pride now to get views on YouTube? Oh, hell nah. I refuse. I will literally try to get everybody onto Rumble that very day. Like, everybody just head over to Rumble. Like, they're cooked. YouTube is cooked.
being investigated for the shooting of Renee Good is the federal agent who shot her. So is the FBI conducting an investigation into that agent, into the shooting? What can you tell us about that? Will it be made public?
Look, what happened on that day has been reviewed by millions and millions of Americans because it was recorded on phones when it happened. Okay, the Department of Justice, our civil rights unit, we don't just go out and investigate every time an officer is forced to defend himself against somebody or putting his life in danger. We never do. That has nothing to do with what happened in Minneapolis. There are over 1,000 shootings every year where law enforcement are put in danger by individuals, and they have to protect themselves, and they have a lawful right to do so. The Department of Justice doesn't just stand up and investigate because some congressman thinks we should, because some governor thinks that we should. We investigate when it's appropriate to investigate, and that is not the case here. It wasn't the case when it happened, and it's not the case today. If circumstances change, and there's something that we do need to investigate around that shooting or any other shooting, we will. But we are not going to bow to pressure from the media, bow to pressure from politicians, and do something that we never do, not under this administration, not under the last administration. And so, no, we are not investigating. And if there comes a time when we need to, we will, but it's not now.
Is there some type of internal review, though, that happens when someone dies at the hands of an agent?
Of course. I mean, every law enforcement agency has their own protocols when an officer is required to defend themselves. Every single law enforcement agency, even the Minnesota Police Department in Minneapolis, and so does DHS, and so does the FBI, and so does every state police department. And so, of course, there's an investigation that's happening, but that's a big difference from what you have the governor insisting that this civil rights unit do and this Department of Justice do, and we are not going to do that.
Okay, let's talk about the Insurrection Act. The president sounds like, he's talked about it possibly being used in a number of situations, and specifically there in Minnesota. It sounds like he's standing down, or at least saying he doesn't think it's necessary at this point. But we've got the Washington Post reporting that some 1,500 active duty troops, the Pentagon's put them on standby potentially to deploy into this situation. No surprise that the attorney general there in Minnesota, Keith Ellison, has said he'll go straight to court over this if you decide to sue. He also has already filed a separate lawsuit saying this. He says the threats suggest that the federal government is attempting to create a pretext for military deployment by provoking civil unrest. Your response?
Well, President Trump has
Oh,
promised
crap. I
to keep the
mean,
American people safe. And the
oh,
fact that the
shit.
local law enforcement, because their leadership is not doing it.
Well, breaking news on this side. I mean, shout out to my man JD Vance. He's expecting a fourth child with his with his wife Ursha Vance. I mean, shout out. Damn. I mean, geez, look like the whole administration about to have some kids. I mean, we got Caroline Levitt having her kid. We got, JD Vance expecting a kid now. And whoa, wait, hold on. Really? How old is Ursha? I thought, wait, isn't she like 40? Hold on now. I kind of gotta look this up just for curiosity reasons. But yeah, she's 40 years old. Damn, was she still out here producing kids? I mean, all right then. I mean, it is possible, but it's very unlikely at 40. So, man, she had that last egg survived up in there for years, just stuck to the walls. I mean, but congratulations though. Shout out to JD Vance.
Their jobs. There may come a time when the president has to order that. And we support him. The attorney general supports him because we have to keep the citizens safe. Now, in cities across this country, in all 50 states, that's done by local law enforcement and leadership. Unfortunately, in Minneapolis, those local law enforcement, who I'm sure are great men and women, are being ordered to stand down. And so when the American people, when the citizens of Minnesota are threatened by what's happening there, you better believe President Trump's going to be there for them. He promised, he campaigned on that. He won the election on that. And if he sees what's happening continue, that's an available tool to make sure that American citizens stay safe.
All right, just to clarify a couple of things. You say local law enforcement's being told to stand down. Is that in response to attacks on ICE? These situations, you're saying the locals are not showing up. They're not controlling the situation?
Local leadership told citizens to call 911 when they see ICE. They did not tell they did not tell citizens to call 911 when they see ICE officers being assaulted and attacked. And to the contrary, police officers are not anywhere to be seen around the ICE facilities.
God, let's make sure we support the video and we can keep on going longer with the stream. Appreciate the support, guys.
ICE officers are out doing the work they have to do. There are no cops around. And that is not the way that it takes place in cities across this country. In virtually every place we go in, we get support from law enforcement because that's their job. And again, this is not an indictment of the men and women who are police officers in that city. This is an indictment of the leadership that's telling them what to do. And that's why President Trump is looking at all available options and will continue to do so, because the local leadership is not letting local law enforcement do their jobs.
All right, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, thanks for your time today.
But all right, though. Now, all right, guys, let's see if we can go ahead and get about $20 more in support, because shout out to Hellback, because he kind of cleared that $5 for a second hour. But let's go ahead and get $20 more of support before the end of this video. All right, let's see if we can go ahead and get that one. But all right, shout out to this. U.S. citizen dragged out of car by federal agent. Now, I showed this video to you before. No, yes, I showed this video to you before, but I guess, CNN is finally getting their hands on it. They got this lady to come speak out against the situation. Now, from what I seen in the video, it looked like she was obstructing ICE. They were telling her to move her car. She didn't move her car, and they end up dragging her out, arresting her, and then driving her car off. So apparently there was more to it than just that. Hey, shout out to my man Zoloff. Appreciate the support, my brother. He says, sucks about the shadow ban. Just keep pushing through it, bro. Man, I ain't got no choice, brother. I ain't got no choice. And besides, we're actually seeing record amount of views because after the shadow, man, tonight would be pretty much a record amount of views. Because trust me, I was actually stuck at 9 live viewers. Now I'm actually getting double digits. So, hey, who knows, man? This could be a good thing. This could turn out to be something way better than what I was getting before. You never know. You never know, bro. You got to go through hard times to see the best of times. It is what it is. Shout out to my boy Hellbat, man. Whoa. Zoloff. Shout out to my boy Zoloff. Shout out to Hellbat too. But it's Zoloff time to shine. $35 per person.
By now, you've probably seen this video from Minneapolis, a woman being dragged from her car while driving through a protest against President Trump's immigration crackdown. She was arrested 2 blocks from where an ICE agent shot and killed Renee Good a week before. You heard her screaming, "I'm disabled," as agents carried her by her arms and her legs from her own car.
I mean,
Tonight, we know.
y'all did say she's disabled, so obviously she ain't walking. I mean, man, god damn it. See, look, now y'all got me making effed up jokes. Like, bruh. I mean, come on now. Like, I'm just saying, oh, of course you're gonna carry her by her legs. Obviously, she ain't walking anywhere. I mean, what's she doing driving around disabled by her? No, never mind. Let me not be too much of an asshole.
Her name,
My
Alia
bad.
Rahman. In just a minute, you'll hear from her for the first time in an exclusive interview. Alia says she was never part of the protest that day. She was simply just trying to go to her doctor's appointment. But in a statement, the Homeland Security Department called Rahman a, quote, agitator, adding she, quote, ignored multiple commands by an officer to move her vehicle away from the scene. She was arrested for obstruction. The Minneapolis Police Chief, Brian O'Hara, he watched the video. He sees it differently.
Obviously, I don't know why law enforcement officers initially approached the vehicle. It pisses me off to see that, to see men doing that to a woman who's disabled. It pisses me off. If those cops works for me, they'd have a problem right now.
With me now, Alia Rahman and her attorney.
I mean, yes, and that's why your city has high crime. Even before ICE was there, your city had extremely high crime because apparently an officer does their job and they would have an extreme problem with you. It's like, okay, but let's hear her story out. You never know, guys. She might actually have a good case here.
Van Brunt, thank you both for being here. Alia, I want to start with you because this has been viral. People have seen this video over and over again. People have many opinions. This is what happened to you. It is your life. It is your journey. But the government, they're calling you an agitator. So can you just help me understand? Walk me through what happened in those moments before these agents dragged you from your car.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Laura. And happy birthday, Dr. King. I'm really happy that you asked this question, right? Because I have been so concerned that folks might be distracted from the real issue at hand by instead debating why I proceeded slowly through a militarized traffic jam full of pedestrians and a cacophony of conflicting instructions. I was on my way to the doctor. I was on a main road.
Whoa. Go back.
Issue at hand by instead debating why I proceeded slowly through a militarized traffic jam full of pedestrians and a cacophony of conflicting instructions. I was on my way to the doctor.
Conflicting
I was
instructions.
on a main road that is a direct road from my house to the parking lot. Suddenly there's traffic in the road. There are vehicles blocking it ahead, vehicles that later I understood were ICE vehicles. People around me trying to understand what to do. And I think that you see the rest.
So you weren't, I mean, in the beginning of the video, you see the federal agents saying something to you before you were dragged out. They say that you were given what they call repeated warnings. I just heard you say this cacophony of conflicting
Repeated
commands.
warnings.
What were they saying to you?
See, and that's what kills me because these guys come in here and talk about, oh, I was received conflicting orders, but conflicting orders. Here's the problem. That's a lie. Okay, they lying to you. There was no conflicting orders. Not like when one ICE officer said, "Get out the car." No, stay in the car. No, ma'am. No, drive off. No, they all said the same goddamn thing. So you let these people sit here and lie in your face. Oh, I got conflicting orders. Literally, usually when one cop yells an order at you, the rest of them are yelling the same exact order. There isn't one cop telling you to stay and one cop telling you to drive off. I mean, what are you talking about?
What did you understand to be happening?
Well, I think I didn't understand what was happening, right?
So you kept moving through it?
I am a disabled person who has...
Bro, look at this. So, lady, obviously something's wrong if you got a whole bunch of ICE officers tugging on your car. obviously something's wrong here. Like, are you sure you didn't know anything? You positive?
Autism, right? That is a big piece of this. But I think even someone who doesn't have the kind of auditory processing challenges I do would not know what to do with the sentence, move. I will break your effing window. And then back and forth between move, get out, trying to open my door, more threats of breaking a window, which I don't understand the functional purpose of. And it's not a warning, it's a threat of violence that really should.
No, it means that they told you multiple times to get out this car. You ignored them. Then they said, all right, great, we're going to break your window. I mean, actually, I've seen cops, like, bro, warn people before, like, yo, if you don't open this door, we're going to drag you out. I mean, remember that clip of the black kid that was in there telling the ICE officer, arguing with the man, telling him how he's not going to open his door, ignoring him while you know, recording? Yeah. When you ignore police and they give you that warning and they're telling you to get out the car, yeah, they're allowed to break your window and take you out. So you're receiving repeated warnings that you ignored. They told you to get out the car. You ignored that as well and tried to drive off. And I mean, thank God you had your window down, or they'd have broke that window in your face too. That'd have been the worst part.
Be packaged with an instruction. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to tell you about what my ears hear in that situation. But in my ears, my autism also comes with an auditory sorting challenge where multiple human voices at like a loud party or on a chaotic street all sound like they're the person talking to me. So that's one reason, you know, you see me looking and trying to identify.
Hold on.
Which lips are
Okay,
talking.
then, I mean, then shouldn't you have, you know, some type of understanding for ICE then? If you know that you have these problems that make it sound like there's multiple people talking to you, then shouldn't you be like, all right, yeah, I can understand why ICE did that. I mean, if multiple people are telling me something and I'm thinking something else because of my disability, oh, I can see why they did that to me. My bad. Well, due to my disability, I thought I was getting conflicting orders. So that's not ICE's fault. That's my disability's fault. But we're somehow blaming ICE though. But okay, though. Okay, this makes sense.
To me, but of course that's not possible because ICE officers wear things that cover their mouths and faces except for their eyes, right?
So
yes, and you walk around with a disability that, I mean, that doesn't let you understand orders. So, I mean, who's really the danger to the public here?
it is so informative for you to explain what it was personally like for you, for us to have watched the video and now to understand at least a part of what you were experiencing in that, because there is a conflicting report from their vantage point that tries to explain what you were thinking or feeling, and you've done it yourself. But I want to be clear, you say you were not there to protest ICE. You were there on your way to an appointment and you stopped in the traffic, and I got the conflicting reports and commands. Were you there to protest ICE? Had you ever protested ICE before in that arena?
No.
So when you went that day and you were detained, as you said, what was that like for you once you were? What happened after they took you?
Number one, I experienced a very specific set of dehumanization practices during the 6 stages of detention and processing that I counted before I went unconscious and was taken out in an ambulance. Number 2, during every one of those stages, I clocked ICE agents doing things that indicated they were not aware of what their job was or how to do it. Lots of, where's this? What do we do next? You know, agents had to stop at all 5 stages. Agents had to stop, ask someone else what to do, where basic things were. There were local staff who seemed to know some of that.
So I don't know why they've been trying to run this propaganda of, well, oh, ICE, they're just this incompetent group of guys. They're just a bunch of hired Proud Boys, hired thugs off the street, when mainly, well, most of ICE is veterans and ex-law enforcement. Yeah, if you didn't know, these are veteran and ex-law enforcement, not Proud Boys, not your random guys off the street that just wanted $100K a year. I hope you guys know this. Ex-military or a veteran or law enforcement, ex-law enforcement. I mean, it's about as simple as that. You guys thinking that these guys are untrained civilians or untrained guys they just picked up an application for ICE? Like I said, this ain't a South Park episode, guys. Like your teacher who wasn't getting paid so well is not an ICE officer now, okay? Okay.
I distinctly heard two of them at one point say to each other, "We don't want to step on ICE's toes," when I was trying to get medical care. And the third is that the practices I experienced with like my own body, ears, and eyes do not make sense to me as an immigration or public safety strategy, because they make things less safe.
These guys.
And honestly, I was not separated from a citizen of any other country. I think people believe this is just immigrants in there, and it is not. I was told that if I were a normal human, nothing would be a problem.
They said that to
We have now heard from, oh yeah. You know, when I asked for,
I mean, no, never mind. I'm not gonna be no F it. I am gonna be an asshole who says it. I mean, let's be real. If you're able to think correctly and you didn't have this misperception of, you know, people when multiple people talk to you, think it's the same people talking to you, giving thus you thought conflicting orders, that had never happened. So, I mean, you know, you basically said you went out there with a disability, and because of your disability, you got arrested by ICE, not because ICE was being racist. Let's be honest here.
disability.
Well, you know, ICE being racist sounds nice. You know, it's a great headline. It gives CNN viewers. I mean, it is what it is.
And I said, did anybody bring my cane with me from the car? I need that to walk, not stand, but walk, because my balance is bad. They said, there's no canes here. They stood me up in leg irons and said, walk, push my back. Walk, you can do it. Nobody said, maybe we should find something else. There was no medical screening. I was never once asked for my ID, even told I was under arrest, never charged.
Wow. You're being detained.
Yeah, I sat there and somebody finally.
I know it's called being detained. I mean, shoot, it happens. It's called being detained. I mean, you're not arrested, you're detained. You didn't really, they don't know, well, you didn't really, they don't know if you committed a crime. They ain't charged you for a crime yet. You're just being detained. And apparently you weren't charged with a crime because you're out here speaking on CNN. I mean, so, I mean, I don't really know what the complaints are about.
Noticed I was, not able to balance even sitting. And they said, I think there might've been a wheelchair around here the other day, because I kept asking, can you at least get a wheelchair? People said, I don't even know if we have those. That's not the answer to that question. That's never should be happening. And when they put me in the wheelchair, finally, an officer said, wait, you were driving, right? So your legs do work.
What?
You know, I refrain from saying, I refrain from saying, hey, have you ever seen a handicap parking spot, sir?
No, that is grimy.
But the thing is, right, people are going to say, well, none of that stuff is illegal. It's just mean.
He said, what you mean you're driving? I guess your legs do work. I was weak. I'm like, well, damn. Oh, man. I mean, look, man, when you get smart with the police, they gonna get smart with you back. So that's the funny part. It is funny how people get smart with the police and be like, they said this to me. Yeah, but let's be real. You was being a smart ass with them and they hurt your feelings by being a smart ass back. I mean, hey, man, don't dish it if you can't take it.
But I have read too many books to think that things are okay when this level of dehumanization is happening, because it means.
Woman, what does you reading books have to do with, you know what? She did not just sit there and say, I read too many books, so I know what dehumanization. What? Can you at least explain the genre of books you were reading so you can further explain to me how you know what dehumanizing a person really is, means, and all this good stuff? Like, please tell me what book you were reading.
Officers,
and if it wasn't a history book, I don't even want to hear about it,
are probably trying to get through their day when they have been given orders that are not righteous and they are to hurt people.
Alexa, I have to ask you, and Ali, you have to forgive me. My own sister is mobility impaired, and she drives with the assistance. Had to accommodate, and adapt her car so many different times to be able to still function and live in the standard that she wants to.
So, all right, she's disabled. Your sister disabled. Her auntie over here, she about to pop in and say her auntie disabled. I mean, F it, bro. We're just gonna have a pity party now. And then what? She gonna start cracking tears and be like, "You really understand me?" Okay, man. I see where this is going. I ain't going for it, man. Man, change it for women start crying. Look, we're gonna go ahead and cover this douchebag Don Lemon. We're gonna go ahead and cover this D-bag, okay? Man, for women to start crying. Oh my goodness, you can relate to me because your sisters have a disability just like me. It's like, oh my god, what is a Lifetime movie? All right, though. Let's get over here to this character, though. This character done disturbed the internet by what he did. Man went into a church and disturbed a public service. I mean, man. But let's get into our boy Don Lemon, man. He got to a lot to explain.
How are you? Good. They're getting the operation together again. This is an operation that is secret, that they invited folks out. Can't tell you what is going to happen, but you're going to watch it live unfold here on the Don Lemon Show. There are for this reason it may look like MAGA coded, but there's a reason they have so many white people here. I'm just going to be honest. It's because of the operation that they're doing.
Wow. It's MAGA coded because there's a whole lot of white people. Wow. I mean, bro, the racism be hilarious sometimes. Well, I could tell it's MAGA coded because there's a whole lot of white people in here. Bro, that's like me walking into my job and saying I could tell it's MAGA coded because there's more white people in here. You know what? I'm gonna start saying that shit. Like, as soon as I see a whole bunch of white people, I'm like, yeah, this is a MAGA coded area. It's like, wow. Okay. Hey. Oh, hey, Steph. How you doing, sis?
Today, it's important to have allies, as I said, white allies here. So that is what I could say. I turned our camera off of them because they're giving some critical information here. But there we go. Everybody's ready to go. Let's go. Okay. Thank you, guys.
What this man's about to do is extremely disrespectful, but all right, I'm gonna let it play out.
Guys, thanks you for allowing me to be here.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
How are you?
Good.
To see you. We're on. We're not saying what it is, what's going on, but thank you. Tell us, why are you doing this?
So
this is Nakima Levy Armstrong. She's on the show
Nakima
on Friday.
Levy Armstrong, civil rights attorney, longtime activist here in the community. And, we protest and do activism in all kinds of ways. This is Operation Pull Up, more of a clandestine operation. We show up somewhere that is a key location. They don't expect us to come there. And then we disrupt business as usual. So that's what we're about to go do right now. We've had a lot of success with the times we have done Operation Pull Up.
Yeah.
After George Floyd was killed, we went to the police federal.
Oh, what type of ghetto ass name is Operation Pull Up? Like, what, you about to pull up on your baby daddy because you ain't get that child support in a couple months? Well, you about to pull up on that bitch at work that been talking too much shit? Like, Operation Pull Up. Like, what type of ghetto ass shit is this? Like, bruh. What, really? All right, whatever.
Operation heads home and stage a demonstration there. We
literally,
also went,
bro. Literally, like the worst name, bro. The next worst name would have been Operation Drive-By. Like, literally. Shout out Zoloft for that one.
to the head of the U.S. Marshals from Minnesota after Winston Smith was killed by the U.S. Marshals. We went there after Dante Wright was killed.
All right. Oh, yeah. Shout out my man, Dead Man. Yeah, Don Lemon doesn't even respect his own existence. He doesn't. I mean, all this ish talking he does about white man. Can you imagine talking all that ish about a white guy and you're a bottom to one? Like, really, bro? Really? But all right, though. Let's get into the real hypocrisy here. Well, not even hypocrisy, but the real, like, disturbance. I'm going to call out an hypocrisy later.
Unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So, but there were folks who will say, I have to take care of my flock. Okay, but listen, we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest. We're here to worship.
this son of a bitch walked into a church while these people were praying, and they start disturbing them, start yelling at them and all this wild stuff. And I think they were there for like one person, this one guy who actually goes to church there. Because this one guy went to church, they went and disturbed all the churchgoers and everybody in there, which is like honestly highly disrespectful. And I agree, it is highly disrespectful. And people are calling for this man to go to jail. And you know what? I say stop being so soft. You're saying, but Seth, yo, Seth, where you going with this? And I'm like, bro, do we not remember our man Jake Lang, who was out there disrespecting Muslims in their face by squeezing bacon in their Qurans, putting it in the pig's head, and completely disrespecting their religion, even was doing it outside of their holy places. So when this happens to you guys now, when this happens to the Christians, remember, he was doing this. Remember, and this is your Christian crusader, Jake Lang. He's doing this as a Christian, even though some people actually say he's Jewish, but don't even matter about that. He promotes himself as a Christian, going out there doing that type of disgusting action. And be honest with you. Now, Don Lemon does the same thing, does the same type of disgusting action, bringing a protest inside the house of God. And now you guys are outraged. I'm sorry, but be real with you. If you're a Christian, you're being hypocritical. Because, I mean, if you're going to allow that to happen to one religion, why wouldn't you think it was ever going to happen to yours? Just being real. And for those of you who are okay with Jake Lang was doing with the Quran and putting bacon in between it and a pig's head, then you should be okay with Don Lemon pulling up in your church, disturbing your prayer to your Lord. You should be okay with that. Because guess what? Me, I'm being consistent. I wasn't okay with neither of it. I don't want you respecting Christianity, Jesus Christ our Lord, and I don't want you disrespecting the Muslims. So even the die Muhammad, may peace be upon him. I lean more to the Christian side, but y'all know my stance on this stuff. I don't believe in any type of hatred, any type of bigotry whatsoever. So I need you guys to decide right now. Because if it's okay for Jake Lang to do all that stuff against Muslims, then it's okay for Don Lemon to do what he's doing right now. And I see each of them is equally disgusting, equally deplorable people for what they do. So let's be consistent.
We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ. I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me though. We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here.
That's it.
Okay? That's why we're here.
That's it. And that's all they're here to do. They're to worship Jesus. And they should not be trampled upon for that. They should not have their private property, private space invaded for something so sacred, such as praying to their Lord. Is like, are you serious? Then I'll also go say the same thing. Who are you to go in front of Muslims while they're praying to their Lord, throwing bacon in their face and disrespecting their book? Same thing. Am I wrong?
That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a
no
Christian?
one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to
unless you're here to worship. Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship.
Really?
We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Look, bro, one, you're not a Christian because honestly, I think he hates Christianity because Christianity, doesn't really like homosexuality. Let's just keep it a buck. It's a sin. It's forbidden. I mean, shoot, he ain't going to find no friends amongst the Muslims in that regard either. But yeah, and a lot of people hate Christianity because it rejects their lifestyle. Like, let's be honest. It tells you to clean your life up, stop with the derogatory, or be real with you, the sex that doesn't really produce anything. Yes, stop with the useless sex. Stop with the drinking and smoking, even though I don't drink, but Lord knows I smoke. So even I'm not perfect in that regard, but it tells you to clean up your life, and people low-key reject it because of that reason. I'm be real with you. I mean, you can read the historical value of the Bible, and I mean, it got the facts, but it's mainly because of the teachings that people turn away from it because they don't get to be a heathen. People in heathenism, so it is what it is.
This is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to.
And if you ask my boy Gaiman, it's because they don't want to accept that Lord as our Christ and Savior, as our, Lord and Savior. And I mean, yeah, that's a lot to do with it as well. Not gonna lie.
To interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
But there were folks who will
That's what, I have to take care of my flock.
Okay, but listen, we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
Yeah, there's also a constitution for freedom of religion, and what your guys are kind of doing is a bit disrespectful towards their religion and their freedom to, you know, I don't know, practice their religion. You're kind of impeding on that, bro. I mean, it's kind of effed up. You talk about the First Amendment, but I mean, you're kind of impeding on that right now. And you brought a whole bunch of protesters and agitators to the back of a church. Here's the thing, though, and I'm going to go ahead and call it out. You wouldn't have done this to a bunch of Muslims because they'd have whooped your ass out of there. You wouldn't even have brought this to a black church because they'd have whooped your ass out of there. So you did it to the most, I'm going to be real with you, you did it to the most passive people you can find is a bunch of white Christians. And yes, they are a very group of very nice passive people. They don't really believe in violence, but I mean, some, if you bring them to, will do so. But I'm be honest with you, most of them, they're pretty passive people. And I'm be real with you, this what kind of angers me when people bother them, because I'm be like, bro, you're literally choosing the most innocent group, most passive group of people to pick on because you know you're not going to catch that smoke from them. You won't go to the Muslims and do that. You won't go to the black Christian church and do that because you know it's going to happen. Cowards. This is what Don Lemon is, a coward.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here. We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here. Okay. That's why we're here.
I mean, hold up, bro. You're all up in his face. You're leaning towards him. You're trying to put the mic more close to him, and he wants you to leave. It's like he wants you to leave. Like, that's how I know, bro. If there was a black pastor or something, bro, he'd probably stepped outside with you and be like, all right, bro, we gonna fight. Like me, bro, I'm pretty sure he would probably be hearing the F word a couple times. And I'm talking about faggot, not the F word, okay? F it, I'm gonna drop it myself.
That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a
no
Christian?
one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real with you. They're not willing to talk. It's like, bro, they're literally yelling in the back, disrupting the church, and it's just like, what do you mean talk? They wanted to talk. Maybe they'd catch me outside. If they wanted to talk, they'd be like, yo, can I get an interview with you on this stuff here? I mean, he's a pastor, and trust me, these guys are really open to talking to people. That's one thing a pastor loves doing, is talking to people and try to bring you to the way of the Lord. I mean, it's their thing. It's what they do.
You actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship. Yeah. We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much.
This is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering.
Yeah, it is shameful to interrupt a public gathering. I mean, sure, you can brag about your First Amendment rights, but come on now. And then he got grilled on by Nikki because Nikki came in hot. Bro got that boy in his feelings. He said, Don cocksucking Lemon is disgusting. Don cocksucking Lemon is disgusting. I mean, well, she said, how dare you? I want that thug in jail. He would never do that to any other religion. Lock him up. And that's facts, though. I'm be real with you, though. That's a fact. He wouldn't have did that to no Muslims. I mean, he wouldn't have did it to no group of Hindus or any other practicing religion in America. He decided to do it to Christians. Because, well, let's be real, pacifism is kind of sold into the Christian religion. So, I mean, you pick the pacifist, and that's kind of effed up. You're kind of a coward for that. It's like, bro, when you pick on people that you know is not going to fight back, you're a coward. Like, let's be real.
So people have been asking me about responding to Nicki Minaj's unhinged, homophobic tweet about me. I usually don't respond to this stuff, but let me just say this. Nicki Minaj, stop talking about shit for which you know nothing about. This is out of your depth, by the way, and you are a homo.
I mean, it is what look, bro. When you grill a dem, they always want to tell you how, oh, you're out of your depth. You don't even know what you're talking about. Stay out of my arena. I mean, bro, you stepped into her arena as a Christian. Yes, sorry, but Nicki Minaj, she's a Christian. So you stepped into her arena when you did that. I'm sorry, bro. You're kind of out of line here.
Homophobic bigot. You don't care about African Americans, and you're not an African American.
Damn. All right, you going full FBA on us now. Oh, I see how it is. He said you're not even an Afro, bro. Nicki Minaj was born, I think, no, she was born in Trinidad, wasn't she? Yeah, I think she was born in Trinidad. But I think she's naturalized by now because she came over here when she was young. But yeah, no, she's an African American, brother. Sorry if you don't like that. I mean, shoot, the black community is still considered African American, even though, you know, we kind of have a problem with her right now, and not me personally, but I'm talking about my black liberal brethren.
Nothing about this is out of your depth, by the way, and you are a homophobic bigot. You don't care about African Americans, and you're not an African American. From what I know, you are reportedly an undocumented citizen. So.
Oh my God, bro. You really think Nicki Minaj is undocumented? Like, bro, Nicki Minaj has been here, like, bro, since when? Actually, hold on. Where was she even born? I know she was born in Trinidad. I'm almost sure she was born in Trinidad. And I think she came over to America in like what? In her teens or so? Like, bro, she's been here for like decades. At that point, you're naturalized. So yeah, undocumented, no. Married to a pedophile, though. I mean, maybe. Actually, most likely. That's one of the weirdest thing about Nicki Minaj is this Kenneth Penny guy who got caught up for grape, who got convicted of grape, by the way. Who she defends is innocent, but I'm just like, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that.
You should be deported under Donald Trump's rules. And the other thing is that your family members, you have one family member who is reportedly a sex offender, the other family member, your husband or whatever, a sex offender is your husband, and one of them is reportedly a pedophile. And you have nerve to talk about me and what you think that I do?
I mean, are you not gay? I mean, do you not basically suck white dick? I'm just gonna keep it gutted with you at this point. I'm just gonna keep it raw then. I mean, aren't you not a bottom to a white man? Like, so when she called you cock sucking lemon, I mean, she basically called out like things that you do. I mean, isn't that what you do? Aren't you proud to be a gay man? So aren't you cock sucking lemon according to Nicki Minaj and your white husband? I'm just saying, I mean, you should be proud of it. You should be proud. I mean, isn't this something, a whole gay pride thing y'all were going for? Somebody called you cock sucking lemon. You should be damn right. You should be like, damn right. Yeah, gay pride, right? Right. Or is there hidden shame? Because you never know with these guys.
Minaj, get a life. Stop being a pick-me. You should have put a pick-me doll on that damn tweet instead of a Chucky doll, because you are.
I mean, bro, you're like the biggest pick-me for the left. They fired your ass. You're over here trying to fight for relevance, and you're still not really getting it. You got to do these outrageous stunts like here to gain relevance because you're the pick-me for the left, and they still reject your ass. Still. Nicki Minaj was given stage time. Don Lemon, you have not been let back up on CNN, MSNBC, ABC, none of them. So, I mean, who's the real pick me here? At least she's getting attention. You're not.
Nothing but a pick me. And I choose not to pick you. And so should black people and so should gay people. Shouldn't buy your music. Clock that.
I mean, sounds like you were just projecting there, my friend, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But all right, let's get over to this guy right here. One of the guys that's setting Don Lemon straight in that atmosphere or in that moment when he was at the church.
These people have come into our house and they've interrupted our worship. This is a house of peace, and we try to proclaim that. And this stirs division and rancor. And in the end, it's not helpful. Ultimately, I believe they've lost. They've emptied a house of worship. Everybody's gone home. Their point has been proven worthless. And so, in the end, I think they lose. But more importantly, if I was to break into any of their houses uninvited, cause derision and upset according to their values, I would be kicked out ultimately. It's not a good way. I feel violated. I feel interrupted. I feel angry.
May I ask you something? When you were saying if you had showed up at their house,
They're saying that people are showing up at houses where they're citizens, without due process, and breaking and entering the house. One that we saw, I've been watching from New York, with a battering ram into someone's private property, and there's no recourse.
Yeah, because they was harvesting, or they were harvesting an illegal alien. I mean, yes, if you sit there and try to hide an illegal alien, we know they're there. We know they live there, and you're over there trying to lock the door. Yes, we're going to hit it with the battering ram. It is what it is. And that's why I didn't hear anything after, because most likely they were embedding illegal aliens. It is what it is.
No, you understand what I'm saying?
This is all part of a much larger dialogue, in my opinion. On one side are people who watched a previous administration bring 12 million people in over the course of 4 years, and many of them undocumented, many of them criminals, etc. This is another administration's corrective. Now, whether you agree with the policies or procedures, I think I could actually be sympathetic to some.
I mean, he's making a really good point. He's like, bro, you guys are taking it out on a church when you're mad at administration. And it's like, I know that they like to sit here and talk about, oh, their Christian values, but yeah, it doesn't mean you take it out on Christians. I know just because they say they're a bunch of Christians carrying out the law, it doesn't mean you sit there and you get mad at Christians and start to ask them about, oh, well, aren't you mad at what Donald Trump is doing? It's like, can I just sit here and praise the Lord, please? Like, bruh, some of these Christians aren't even involved in politics, to be quite honest with you. They don't even know what the F you're talking about. They just came here to worship God. Like, damn.
One of the things where there have been challenges to passion and decency. At the same time, these are what are called targeted interventions by ICE to keep the American people safe.
If I respectfully may interject here, I've been out reporting on a lot of these, and they're not targeted. There are no warrants signed by a judge. Let me finish.
No, they're targeted. They're targeted. And if they're not, I mean, bro, Don, just give us the proof. You're just out here spewing left-wing rhetoric. I mean, tap into your guys at CNN and see if they can get you something. Bring out the facts. Bring out the papers like Nick Shirley do. I mean, you're a guy with resources. You can do that. I mean, get your gay boyfriend on it. I mean, your gay husband on it. You know, he should be able to help.
And they're American citizens, many of them. Most of the people that they detain don't have criminal convictions or criminal records.
I'm not going to get into the weeds.
But you should know that, though. Don't you think that's part of it?
Yes, and I could also show you many opposing sides where we're also picking up the very criminals that have put Americans in danger. And I'm not saying it's pretty. I'm not saying it's not messy. I'm not saying it couldn't be better. I'm saying this is a part of a much larger dialogue in which one administration caused a great deal of chaos and havoc and danger for American citizens, and another is trying to correct that.
Do you believe that? Why honestly,
Okay.
let me talk to you just on the facts. Yes, I am.
Do I believe? Do you like, bro, really? The gaslight. But do you really believe that? Yes. Actually, I know that. Yes, I know that Donald Trump is out here locking up the criminals, the illegal criminals, and undocumented immigrants as well. Because guess what? They're here illegally. And we got to make sure that, well, our border laws mean something. We got to make sure that our citizenship means something, because it don't mean anything if you can just come here through the border and then you just get to stay. Sorry, but we're countries of laws. I mean, before we're countries of immigrants, we are a country of laws. And we have laws that we must follow, or we no longer have a country. I would hope you guys will respect that.
I want to give you the facts.
No.
Did you know that undocumented people and immigrants commit far less crime than American citizens?
We're done here. We're done here.
Than natural-born Americans. You won't listen.
If you could ask,
I'm giving you the facts. It is.
Give me facts. I would have a
bro. Like you're not trying to listen. He literally told you his reasoning. Like, bro, you're literally taking like what your hatred for what the administration is doing out on churchgoers. And I mean, like, bruh, in our eyes, look, he's locking up illegals that need to get up out of here. And we've seen the proof that he is locking up criminals. We also seen the proof that, yes, he is going after the undocumented as well. And we are okay with that. I mean, you sitting here telling him that, oh, do you really believe that? I'm like, bro, wait, what? Like, what? What? Like, bro, like, Don, did you not hear this man? It's like he literally just like, I don't know, like the man literally talks past you or something. if I was actually talking to Don Lemon, I'd have to literally look at him with the craziest face, like, bro, did you not hear what I just said? Like, obviously, everything I told you, I believe. So unless you can prove to me difference, which you haven't brought nothing to prove, you're just going to sit here and try to gaslight me, then move on.
But I can respond to you.
No, did Jesus stand with the oppressed?
Because he doesn't want to listen to facts.
Wow.
That's the interesting thing about this, is that they won't listen to facts.
No.
You won't, because
when you pose as a journalist,
I am a journalist. Journalists give facts,
and then you start correcting me with facts. And don't.
Yeah, but where are these facts? Because I mean, here's the thing though. When Nick Shirley was doing this, and I mean, it's kind of crazy because maybe the left actually needs to take notes. You come with papers, right? You come with examples. You come with, all right, well, you look, I have a paper full of people who were taken in by ICE and they were just attacked for no good reason. I looked it up. I checked out. I don't know how we would check this out, but I was able to corroborate that, yeah, ICE didn't have any order to go after them. This was just a random stop. They just said, F it, let's just go into this house and kick in their door. It's like, bro, if you could prove that, please, but it's highly unlikely you can prove that. And it's highly unlikely you can even prove how ICE is targeting these houses. Like, I'm sorry, but these are most likely put under hush, only for ICE agents and people in DHS to know. So you going out there saying that, oh, well, I know for a fact that ICE agents are just going after these people randomly. Yeah, you can't prove that. And it's obviously that you're lying. You're just trying to sell a narrative to people. Obviously.
You shouldn't hear the facts?
Of course,
that
I
most
hear
of the people
facts.
who are picked up
but
are
will you
not.
Give me the facts on both sides.
That is the facts on both sides. Most of the people who are picked up and are detained are not convicted. They have no criminal convictions. They have no criminal record.
I could believe that. I could sit there and be like, well, here's the thing, though. They're undocumented, so it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Now, according to Christy Nome, 70% of the people they pick up have criminal history. But according to him, he's saying that, well, most of them don't. And here's the thing. I hit him like, I don't care. Are they undocumented, but they didn't commit any crimes as they came in here? I don't care. Them coming in here undocumented was a crime and a reason enough for me for them to be taken out. Like, that's it. That's all. That's it. That's how a lot of people stand on this. And I think Dems aren't hearing us when we say this. If they're undocumented, bro, we want them out of here. Even if they haven't committed a crime in 10 to 20 years, still want them gone. Well, look, we're just being fair and consistent across the board on how we carry out the law, and that's it. And y'all should appreciate that.
None. That immigrants commit far less crime than native-born Americans. So they won't listen to the facts. Anyways, these folks are still out here.
Yeah. Wild. But here's Megyn Kelly pretty much going off. Shout out Megyn Kelly. What the heck? All right. Probably just got a little bit of corrupted on the reload. Whoops. All right, let's try this again.
All of them arrested.
You are a fake Christian.
I want everyone in jail. I want all of them arrested.
You are a fake Christian.
This is the red line, and they've crossed it.
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful.
Don Lemon lectured half of the parishioners about how they really had an obligation to sit there and fucking take it.
These are resistance protesters. They're planning an operation that we're going to follow them on.
Some people are too dumb to be allowed to do the news.
There's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
He's too dumb and doesn't know shit about the law or the U.S. Constitution.
People here don't like it, but protests are not comfortable.
Has no fucking clue what he is saying to that pastor there. You're going to learn the hard way, sir, how wrong you are.
Look, he's hugging his kid. I just imagine it's uncomfortable and traumatic for the people here. That's what protesting is about.
You're too stupid to understand the law, but this one also happens to be illegal. You know how it's illegal to harass people, to show up at the abortion clinic? You're not allowed to do that. Well, guess what? That same law also applies to places of worship. There are some very limited, but this is one of them, limits on your First Amendment rights. This is the line beyond which we cannot allow them to cross. I don't care if it takes the National Guard, if it takes all of Pam Bondi's DOJ, if it takes President Trump personally making a visit to this church. I don't care what has to be done, but this is the red line and they've crossed it.
And I mean, hey, I mean, look, like I said, it's all great for y'all to have a red line and all that. And trust me, I get it. But keep that same consistency when people do that to the Muslims or any religious faith. Anytime. I mean, trust me, people will stick up for Christians if Christians also speak up for other people as well. I mean, you can't just sit there and stay silent when one gets done to one religion, then it gets done to y'all. Y'all ask for people to get thrown in prison. I mean, trust me, disrespecting both religions is equally disgusting. I'm be honest with you. It is what it is. But y'all can't sit there and get mad at one without getting mad. I mean, not get mad at the other. That's all I'm saying. Like, let's be consistent and let's not play favorites, even if your religion, even if it's your religion. I mean, look, we were built on a freedom of religion. We built on freedom of religion. So let's practice that. Excuse me. Let's not sit there and just try to judge every person that doesn't practice what we practice. That's all. That's all. If we could do that, we can be in a lot better place in America. We could be a little bit more unified. But all right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and close out on this one, man. It's about that time, actually. Let me see here. Yeah, I could say this. I could say this tomorrow. I could say this one tomorrow. We're probably gonna do a couple of reactions to some interviews that went viral. And then after that, still, and of course, do a media analysis. So, guys, let's make sure we double tap that screen and like the video. And make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys turn on your notifications so you catch when I go live and all that good stuff. And soon we'll be out the dark tunnel of the shadow ban. Soon. So we'll see. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close out on this one, guys. Appreciate y'all for tuning up, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing up, man. I appreciate you guys, especially those who supported even with the lower viewership, man. I got to respect that, man. I truly appreciate you guys. Y'all will keep me going. So this is Set with Set Media, and I'll catch you on the next one. All right, I'm going to go ahead and leave out with a couple of funny videos, I guess. Yeah, this one. I don't know why. This one always makes me laugh. I don't know what it is, but it always sets the tone of what time we're on when it comes to this immigration. So let me go ahead and set the tone, guys.
Think shit sweet till I send out the guys. I done said it before and it ain't the last time. You think you gonna take these jobs? I'll send you back over that wall and make you climb. Come through trim, deporting your father, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your mama. Just sent 300 national guards to the rack. Donald Trump went, this is Sparta. We catching their ass outside and sending their ass back home. And I got shot with that fire. How I survived? Man, that shit unknown. Government won't even answer the phone. He said that I'm doing the shit that he won't. Why are they talking about switches on guns like we not the ones that gave it a go? Tell you something you don't know. Chicago fucked up cause the government slow. Murder rate never was low. Everybody killing cause everybody is broke. And why is everybody broke? Because the immigrants taking the jobs you want. Send them back over the wall, take notes. I send them back on a plane, a boat. I don't want them in the country no more. I don't want no one looking for work at the store. Why the fuck is they making the city look bad? Why the fuck is they rhyme around waving that flag? I got so sick of this shit and I'm mad. I called Joe Biden that night and I bragged. They deep in the street, then you know it's DT. Free Larry Hoover, I'm really GD. And I hop in the back of a black truck. Camouflage bulletproof vest and you cannot attack us. Stupid little boy better back up. I get the snapping and turn the whole city to black out. Ain't no more New Mexico, I rename. They don't know we about to use Chicago for training. I put 300 guys in the streets in this place. We making America great, it's amazing. Think shit sweet till I send out the guys. I done said it before and it ain't the last time. You think you gonna take these jobs? I'll send you back over that wall and make you climb. Come through trim, deporting your father, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your mama. Just sent 300 national guards to the rack. Donald Trump went, this is Sparta. We catching their ass outside and sending their ass back home. And I got shot with that fire. How I survived? Man, that shit unknown. Government won't even answer the phone. He said that I'm doing the shit that he won't. Why are they talking about switches on guns like we not the ones that gave it a go?